Going live. You're live. It says we're live.
The internet tell us what we do, and we just exist here, you know.
We're live. Yes. Hi guys. Welcome back to Trekyards.
He's Captain Foley, the
Yes.
coughing captain.
And
As
he's.
as doctors are dancing, you are coughing.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
And you're Commander Cockings.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Although already in one of my edits, you demoted and remoted. So I've got my brain that you're several ranks today. So
Oh yes. 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 True story.
you'll see.
So welcome back, guys. And yeah, today's not talking about lower decks. We're talking about Data's Day. We're doing an episode review and discussion. So glad you guys could join us.
And I mean, we did talk about low decks earlier.
Yeah.
There is still that pre-recorded, and this was called "Is Promotion Sometimes a Bad Thing?" And this one I had a lot of fun discussing with you about the idea of what, where, how, who rank and rank structures are. We've had some brilliant comments, and I know you challenged the audience, military officers, ex-military, to comment. Had a lot of those, so go and look if you haven't yet, Stuart, for those comments. Not
good,
that it's
good.
a direct parallel, obviously, but informative. And if you guys had not seen, 23 hours ago we released Why Is It Called the USS Cerritos? Mike McMahon interview. Last time we were on a live, we didn't spill the beans, we just teased it. So yeah, go watch that. We had 504 likes, we've had 190 comments and 3,369 views. Great little interview piece. You get a lot of sense of who he is and how he is, which I think is really important for those that haven't gone out their way to learn about Mike and get a sense of what he brings to the show.
Yeah.
While a lot of other reviewers will ask, sort of generic questions, we kind of brought a different geek out of him than I think a lot of them would have. And do tune in for later interview pieces on very specific questions. And the amount of people I've seen comment in our, oh, you should have asked him this. And I was like, oh, we did. It's quite satisfying.
Yeah, we got a lot of ship-based questions and answers done there. So stay tuned for those. Which leads into the perfect segue into the first super chat from Michael Smith.
Perfect.
Because it's $10.
Thank you.
It says, hello, Trekyards.
Hello.
First, the interview with Mike McMahon was food for my soul.
Yeah.
It's great to have a showrunner who loves Trek as we do. Second, Data's Day is one of my faves. Live long and prosper. Well, thank you very much, Michael. We appreciate that.
What an awesome start to the live.
Yeah. Ozzy, of course, $5. All hail the superior commander and super captain Foley,
and
who
the
loves to cough. Okie dokie. Skeleton hands. Yes. And Area 51, $2. Is Data's Day a paid day off? No.
Yeah.
He's just off duty.
Oh, but also on duty. He's both.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But he's about to go off duty. Is neither of us, because I'm going to just share. That's still on duty, so I'll share.
Go share. Yeah. Well, we have 40 people watching right now with 26 likes. That is awesome, guys. If you haven't hit like yet, please hit like, though. Consider supporting the channel by hitting that like button. That really helps us out. Also, subscribing to the channel. Make sure the notification bell icon is set to all. It is very important as well for the algorithm for YouTube to let them know that you really want to see our content. It does help the channel if you do so. So if you haven't done that already, please do so. Also, as you see, some super chats have come in, and they are great. We have to read what they say on air. It's just one of the things we do here on this channel. We make sure we read everybody that takes the time and the effort and the caring enough about our channel to donate. We feel we owe it to them to read their comment or question on the air and actually address it and talk about it. So if you guys do want to have your comment or read or your question answered, you can do so by sending us a super chat or a PayPal. There is also the PayPal option if you guys want to do that instead. Just let us know in this. Down in the description is the information for the PayPal if you want to send us one, or head on over to Trekyards.com and click the donate button. That's another way to do it as well. But if you do send us a PayPal, let us know in the chat. Let the moderators know so they can let us know so that we can read your comment or question via the email that gets sent to us from PayPal. That's another way to do it also, and that supports us a lot. So also joining the channel at the rank of commander, captain, or admiral is a fantastic way to help us out, and we really, really appreciate that because that makes a big difference at the end of the month. If if you just join the channel. So please consider doing that as well. The join button is down by the subscribe button. And yeah, another great way to support us actually is just watch the commercials. That I know they're annoying, the ads on our stuff, but if you watch them or just let them play at the beginning and the end of the video, even just let them play, that helps us out immensely as well. So, and of course, as all the other stuff, there's lots of links down below in the description for Eagle Moss, Teespring store, all that cool stuff. So lots of great ways to help us. And yeah, but hitting like is one of the best ways. We have 51 watching with 29 likes. Guys, hit that like button. I challenge you guys to get up to at least 40. We have enough people here. We can get up to 40 likes like right now. So
yeah, hopefully.
Area 51 just throws in $5. Thank you very much. Marrying Keiko is the beginning of the O'Brien must suffer routine. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it was definitely weird to see how they introduced her, given that you know, I've heard that as a not necessarily a complaint but a comment, and it's just like, oh, that's how they start this. Oh, yeah. So Stuart and all of you in the channel, hopefully, you know, I think it's quite a popular one, so hopefully you guys are going to join in and super chat and help us make this an epic live. But Stuart, what are your... Well, I mean, first of all, do you remember seeing this at the time? Do you have any pre-memories? Or was this very much a watch of seeing the same thing again? You know, like you didn't see anything new? Or was this... Did you like it more or less? Talk to me.
I don't think I saw anything new. This is one that's always been one of my favorites. I love seeing the day-to-day, what's going on in the life of a starship. And so this one was one that always stuck with me because you get to learn a lot of what happens on the Enterprise in the course of a day. And so, I mean, I had forgotten actually that the Vulcan ambassador was in this one. I knew she was in an episode, and that happened, but I didn't think it was this one. So that was quite a nice surprise.
I mean, it's hard to keep track of the 7 B plots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you remember them, you just don't remember where they fit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Especially as some of them could be individual full B plots of an A B plot.
Yeah.
But they're all like thought through enough, pretty much.
Yeah. No, this shows a few things about... There's a lot of procedural stuff in this, a lot of the daily routine, the handing off of command of the bridge to the day shift and the night shift. That's really cool. Even the dimming of the lights for the night shift, which is ship-wide pretty much in the hallways and stuff. I love that. Seeing that is really great. So there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I do like the day-to-day stuff, though. A lot of times the best part of a movie for me is the first half hour to an hour where they're setting up the world, you're getting a feel for the people and what they do, and then all of a sudden this big climactic thing happens and it focuses on that, and sometimes that takes me out of it. I would just like an episode where nothing big happens.
So I'm hearing
daily routine.
So I'm hearing is you wish Nemesis was like 45 minutes, it was the Argo, because that's day to day.
Yeah, not so much, but hey,
more weddings, more Argos. That's Stuart's fix for Nemesis. Sure, yeah.
But yeah, this has always been one of my favorites, and definitely one of the top 20 probably in all of TNG for me.
Which I'm sure regular viewers would be confused by that or intrigued, because it does not feature ships, really. Ship combat, tech, aliens. It features nothing that you would associate Captain Foley as rating in one of his favorites. It's completely doesn't have those. There is like 2 new shots of the Dodex.
Yes.
So it does a little bit, but it's not focused on. But it's
we got Romulans, and we got Vulcans, and
Well, I mean.
And we got Bot the Barber, even though it's not Mott. I think it's somebody else, another barber.
Well, it's the same character, different actor. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But you know what I mean?
Anyway.
This is not the conventional stuff that people associate with you, which is good. That shows that you can go outside of that, because personal preference be damned, you still like a good quality episode. Like you still have Measure of Man at a high level, even though it doesn't really factor in to either of us think as the really exciting Trek. We can both still say, yeah, but it's still really good.
Yeah, you can see good, well-written entertainment when it's presented. So, Ozzy throws in $5, but she wasn't a Vulcan. Okie dokie, skeleton hands. Well, you're right there, but she's pretending to be a Vulcan, and they're close enough, really.
Yes, absolutely. That was the whole point. So for me, this one's an interesting one, because I think we're in the middle of TNG. As you know, I didn't watch a lot of these since VHS times, or at the time, as in when I first watched them. Not literally, I wasn't born, but So this one is not the sort of one that a younger person would vibe to, because it's all the lower end of the spectrum interpersonal stuff. And so I think when I was younger, not that I didn't like it, it didn't zone into me as once worth remembering in the same way. Like, I remember that there is a wedding. I had no idea when it was going to be. And then the Romulan I always have to get reminded of because it doesn't stand out very much. And everything else in here was relatively new to me. I mean, I joked before it started. This is kind of the SNL episode. It's lots of individual little sketches, which is fine because you get so much texture. And so I think, like you said, it's hard to know where they all fit. And you can always just pull, the dancing sequence out, put on YouTube, and say, here's TNG dancing. You don't have to know when it is, where it is, how it is. Doesn't matter. So it's a weird one like that. I don't think you appreciate when you're younger, but in this viewing, obviously, I'm now a film major. I write scripts. I have a very different understanding, and you realise that every single scene is rich to the brim. I think the dancing scene, only because the payoff it works. Like it starts weaker, ends very strong, but it's
and the great thing about that though is Gates McFadden actually did the dancing. She was a choreographer.
Yep.
She did the choreography for the movie Labyrinth.
She did. Under a pseudonym because reasons. Yeah. And what's great about that sequence is that as they walked in, and we'll get there, I instantly said, "Why the hell are the windows? What weird set design?" But it's because they want the flare over the actors' faces so that they can hide between Brent and Stuntman, and it's very well done. Like you can tell exactly when it's not Brent, but Brent does a good job, and not Brent does a good job, and it's what they do is very well done because dancing is quite important for full body, and so hiding Brent was actually very well done. Even if it's obvious, it's still very well done because you can't do much better. So it was definitely a better one than I thought, but it's also, like I said, it's basically just 9 short treks, or an episode of Lower Decks without the comedy. Really, this is literally just what Lower Decks is in the smaller moments, the smaller things, and also diversifies the universe heavily. Like I'm sure we'll get there when we get there, but just simply asking the question, why is there replimat when they have replicators in every single room? Well, there must be a reason to have a distinct replimat for different functions and reasons in a bit. So that it broadens the universe. It changes everyone can do anything everywhere to a bit more of a things are specialized, things are limited, things are and it reminded me of Orville when they make the jacket. So it's like yes, they have replimat. So it's a very complex episode, and you definitely wish there was more of these in the show. But this is the one that you couldn't have had season 1 or 2, maybe 3. You earned this episode. Because the audience has got to be willing to watch a relatively dull episode because they love the characters. That's what this episode is. It's character porn. And then you come at the end. I don't know. Don't know what I was going with that. Although I will say, Patrick gets the least to do, but that was clear intentional because he tends to be a primary. So they had to set... Well, him and Riker, they removed the 2 that get most of the lines. And they gave everyone else, and it felt that. So that's why it also felt Lower Decks, because, start from lieutenant commander rank and lower, Yes.
No, it's definitely a fun episode. And yeah, I do like, well, we'll get into it when we talk about the episode. But, actually, one thing I noticed in high definition, which was kind of disturbing, when he gives Spot the cat food, there's a little bug in the food that, walks along the inside of the dish. I'm like, is that on my screen? Rewound it. No, it's actually in the food dish. There's a little bug. It's like, is it a flea?
Cats like bugs, right? Maybe? I don't know.
No, not really.
But we start off with a scene where I was convinced what's wrong with this copy. The lights, why is the color grading so dark? Because you've never seen this
I thought
before.
the same thing. I'm like, did the brightness on my computer change? What's happened?
Yep. But no, it's explained, and I like that. Good.
Yeah, well, like I said, I do like the whole fact that the night shift has a darker feel. They dim the lights throughout the ship, which is great.
Although we never saw the rest of the ship. We assume it have to be everywhere, otherwise what's the point?
Well, it's in the main corridors and public areas, as well as the bridge and stuff. I think some of the labs and stuff would keep fully lit, And
well, those that are trying to work an all-nighter don't want it to be dark in the room.
True.
I'm sure it's an easy override, and I'm sure some officers would rather have it be bright. Actually, that's true. Why would you even want a day, nighttime you'd want to be bright because then you can stay awake more. But then again, if these people have just slept, then it being dark doesn't matter because they've just slept. They're on the other shift.
I want to address List of Jericho's fun trivia. What is Tapel's access code? It is Kappa Alpha 4601704. And
okay, great.
I wish to master irony, you lunkhead. Also said that she saw the bug as well. So
fun stuff.
Yay! I'm not crazy.
Well, I mean, you are, but it's a bug.
Wow. And this one's worth pointing out, and we've talked about it probably more than most, to be honest, because this is where he's writing a letter to Bruce Maddox at the Cybernetics division of the Daystrom Institute, talking about the fact that he doesn't have enough information about his program. In response to his inquiry, he's doing a complete record of a full day and how he interacts, with emphasis on his perceptions of friendship. So I love that because Maddox was like a bad guy essentially in Measure of a Man.
Yes.
Here they at the end of that one they kind of said they'd work together and Data would help him out any way he could. And this is how to do it: regular correspondence, helping him with his research, and answering. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, this is definitely it's a small touch, but it's one of those things where TNG doesn't use canon as much as it could do, and so when it does, it's satisfying and it's. It's unknown if you don't know who he is, but when you do, it's like, oh, well, okay then. And yeah, the voiceover is expertly handled. A lot of it, and thank goodness it's Data, because his journey is obviously the most interesting bit. And I'm sure Brent was pretty thrilled with this script. He's in every scene, he's in every dialogue. Even the moments he's not talking, he's talking via voiceover. So full of Brent. Do you think Data's on every night shift then, just because he doesn't sleep?
See, I think that would be uncool of Starfleet to do that. Just he works 24 hours, just go, But I don't know, because you always see them together, the main bridge crew on the same shift kind of thing. So, no, I think the night shift, like on Voyager, gets
rotated,
swapped out and rotated. Yeah, because you got to give less senior officers the chance to do something while there's nothing going on.
It's true. To man
those
stations.
Yeah.
And we know that they either have a 2 or 3 duty roster system, and then Jellicoe insists having a 3rd or 4th. So there's
they have a 3-shift rotation. I mean, Jericho wants to put them on a 4-shift rotation.
Yeah, which would mean less officers or more officers, less time on night shift, because obviously more shifts. But I can imagine Data would probably opt to be helpful and do, like, say a normal shift is 8 hours, he might opt to like a 15-hour shift and then have the rest of the time as his normal off time, because why not? He helps the crew, he helps whatever. All these small problems that he can help solve quicker than other people. Because he has time to fill,
Yeah. Jeff Jacobs, $2, 50 likes.
Yeah.
Nicely done, chatters. On to 100. # make Jeff pay. 84 people watching right now, and 53 likes. So we can get those likes up, guys, to 75 at least. Let's hit 75.
Yeah.
Small jumps.
Reich comes in. They have a nice conversation. Good chemistry. Good character.
I love how the whole bridge crew comes in at the same time.
Yeah.
As the replacements.
Yeah. Does this mean that they all waited and then wait to come on the shift at the same time? Like they might
have a pre-shift briefing.
Yes. Or like
talking about like the next day. They should have came out of the conference room then, but it could have been done on one of the lower decks.
Well, we know the Cerritos has 5 conference rooms, so I'm sure they have.
True.
And in fact, Andrew Probert designed a lot of those edge rooms to be literally briefing rooms, because you get the big, beautiful space. But it was definitely kind of fun, and you get a lot of extras shifting consoles in this episode. And there's a joke later on that I thought to myself anyway. And it is fun to see like the non-interesting days. Like there's only one primary on the bridge, which means nothing interesting is going to happen. But that's okay.
Well, I mean, we've seen it from the other side where Picard or somebody's been sleeping, like in their pajamas, and they get called to the bridge because something's going on. So I kind of appreciate that in a way.
Yeah.
Everybody's all the senior staff are always on call for any emergency.
Yes, and we had a discussion about that as well. But yeah, it's good stuff.
But Riker leaves him 15 minutes early because it's the day of the wedding and you're the father of the bride, essentially.
And what an unexpected thing to start with. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're being introduced to Keiko O'Brien. Keiko O'Brien. I didn't know her first name because she only has it for the 7 minutes of screen time she actually has. Keiko. And she looks exactly as I remember. And I was like, oh, it took this long to introduce her, but also it's actually quite early to introduce her. It's kind of both where you know how much is in.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to get to before that, though, is just the handing off and the information of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Juarez went into labor at 0400. They're waiting the arrival of the Zukov, and guest quarters are being prepared for Ambassador T'Pel. And then there you go. You have the bridge. I've been relieved, all that crap, which is great. And then they go through more of what's going on the ship in a minute or two. But yeah, the Keiko thing, we get to meet Keiko, yay. Klinger's wife from MASH, I might point out. If you ever watched the show MASH, this is Klinger's wife, so.
Great.
Yay.
Met at the Botanical Garden, maybe. And they definitely, again, I'm biased, I know the character, so therefore you go in with a certain bias now. But she does come in quite strong as a, like, oomph. Like, her performance is quite strong. But to start her first scene being, I want to let, call off the wedding to the guy we like, and I'm going to be a coward and have Data do it. It does not make her look good. At the first scene, she looks pretty bad, and she doesn't seem that remorseful, nor give a reason. It's not a good scene for her.
She doesn't get any better during the course of her run in TNG or DS9, because I cannot stand her character at all.
Because I remember, I know I like the character, but this is not a great way to start the character. Like, she just looks bad, you know? Like, she can't even tell Miles. Like, come on. I know it's hard. Come on. Why are you being a coward on this? Just ask the emotionless Data to do it for you. Great, thanks. It's like telling Siri, yes. Break up with my fiance. Okay. Great, I did it. Thanks. Terrible.
Well, I love how he delivers the news to the chief too, and the fact that 10 Forward is closed for the wedding, which is fine. But walks in and says, "I have good news."
Oh, God.
Oh, Keiko has made a decision designed to increase her happiness.
The logic.
She canceled the wedding.
Beautiful.
I love the look on Geordi's face too. He's like, "Oh shit," and then later says, "Maybe you should leave the good news to me next time."
The acting here is beyond perfect. This is the sort of scene that none of these three men thought they were going to ever get, and they were like, "Oh shit, okay," and they just nail it out of the park. Boy, Data. Although he gives a bit too much emotion. I mean, you've got a great frame of him smiling, although Beverly does try to make him smile later, so he can fake smile. So I'm guessing he's adding extra emphasis for this. But as I've said before with other directors, having Brent act normal stops the bigger scenes from working as well. But they changed the character dynamic, but you can't have these big episodes without pushing the Data character, otherwise they wouldn't work. Otherwise, he'd be a blank slate. So he does go a little bit beyond, not as far as other directors have pushed him, but there are a few moments where just like, well, that's a face you wouldn't pull in 99.1% of other scenes. But yeah, there's a harsh scene.
Melissa Jericho, ironically, she was very nice when she was possessed by the Paw Wraith. I know, right? And Area 51, Trekyards, she's why O'Brien drinks, not because he's Irish. Andrew Septo puts in $5, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
The first thing I thought when I saw Keiko was, that's Arnold Jackson's teacher from Different Strokes, and Soon Lee from MASH.
Yeah, brilliant. But we have a surprise appearance from the Ambassador class.
Ooh, yes, it's awesome.
It's so random and it's so beautiful, and it's just like, why do they never use this miniature shot again? It's like they have it in the can. Like use it again, guys. This is expensive to do, and it's got an impulse engine, which they don't have on many versions. Negomos still doesn't have on their version, despite clearly having an impulse engine. Just saying.
Well, here we get the rundown of kind of the stuff that's going on the ship. So this is the 1,550th day since the Enterprise was commissioned.
Good stuff.
Besides the arrival of the Ambassador, other events occurring today include 4 birthdays, 2 personnel transfers, a celebration of the Hindu Festival of Lights, 2 chess tournaments, 1 secondary school play, and 4 promotions. So overall, a typical ordinary day on the Enterprise. And you've got other religious holidays mixed in there. You've got, chess tournaments and school plays. I think that's great. I think to see what the list of stuff going on in the Enterprise every day is a neat little add in there. So
Yeah, I absolutely loved hearing the school play thing. It's so random, but it's like secondary school kids. There's an entire school structure because we only ever see the babies, not babies, but like the super young. We never really get set. Like, it would have been great to see teens, like actual teens, like actually doing a class, like university style, at one point. You know, so hearing secondary is kind of nice. And just to go back to the ambassador for a second, while it's super, that tells us very cleverly she's an important character. We've never seen an ambassador in this era before.
Yeah.
And they're bringing out an ambassador.
And she's on an ambassador class.
Also true, but it ain't no Excelsior and it ain't no Reliant. Like, that's a very, like, for those that really care about this, that's like, ooh, you know. But yes, love the voiceover, and she beams in, and she's typically Vulcan with a stupid hat, brilliant costume. Like,
it's a Vulcan hat. You see them in the movies and stuff too.
It is. It's still stupid, but yes. And I thought when they're in the room, the turbo lift, it made me laugh that it's the shot of, look, audience, she's a Vulcan. Look, her costume has cutouts for her ears, so you can see her ears cleanly lit and cleanly shown between bright things, so you can see that she's a Vulcan. Look, she's a Vulcan. Like, it is very intentional, and I always like intentional things. It's just like, look, we don't have to chase as a Vulcan.
Well, I love how Data's like, I'm kind of closer to being Vulcan than human, but even I find their devotion to logic or their stark philosophy somewhat limited.
Yep, he's like, oh, I like Vulcans, but maybe not as much as I could do because I've actually met a few.
You kind of take it too far, yeah. Eugene though, 300 rubles. Speaking. 4 promotions with 1,014 people on board. It takes less than a year for everyone to reach a new rank. Well, if you're assuming 4 promotions every day, I don't think there's promotions every day.
I would doubt that strongly.
Yeah, that would be like every couple months probably you get a new round of.
Although it's funny, I thought, thank you, Eugene, because when I heard promotions, I thought like a new toilet brush or a new soccer match or like a baking sale, like. We're introducing new shoes. Here's a promotion in the mess hall. Come see free snacks. But he means offers a promotion. Right, that's the promotion.
And we just got the Lower Decks episode with the promotions. We just released this promotion. A good thing today. We just filmed something in regards to rank earlier today. Wow, it was a rank-filled day.
And I just got some new rank pips last week. Ba-dop.
So did I actually. These ones,
really?
the Picard ones.
Oh, you bought a set of those, did you?
Magnetic ones. Oh. Got sent them from.
Oh. Well, la-dee-da. I didn't get sent any, baby. So she says hi to Picard, and then basically leave us. And I'm not quite sure I get Riker. I know it's a setup, but he doesn't know her. He's never met her. There's no chemistry, and he's like, ugh. It's like, this is
a charming woman.
Completely unwarranted. This is normal. Riker, you've known Vulcans. Sorry.
He's just in a bad mood. It's a bad. Yeah. He got up. He was there 15 minutes early. He got up early. He's tired now.
And there's no wedding now. So, damn it, Keiko, you ruined my morning. I was gonna eat a second round toast, but I came in early. And you're not even bloody getting married. That's true. But I just thought it was a bit weird. Like, why are you pissy at her? You have no reason at all.
Oh, she was very rude, very dismissive.
She's being a Vulcan. Get the
fuck out of here.
She was also a high priority Vulcan, which means they're even more arrogant. It's like, do you not think Vulcan admirals are the worst? They're the worst.
I'd buy that for $1. Okay, fine. He talks about irony and sarcasm a little bit as he's walking off the bridge. Then we get the whole haircut thing. You had one last week. You don't need one. You're here to look beautiful. I don't work. I'm not a miracle worker.
I'm a barber on. Yeah, barber on. Yeah. For some reason, I love those glass panels that are lit up, just to make it look like a custom room. I love them. I like them.
Well, we see the barbershop probably 3 or 4 times during Kiss TNG, which is nice.
Yeah.
So.
And great looking bowling. Like, it's such a simple makeup, but it's very effective.
Yeah. And then Data tries with the ribbing of Jordy. Your hair does not require trimming, you lunkhead. Lunkhead? Don't try that with the captain. Friendly jibes and insults.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. And then we see the alien girl behind him, which is really neat. And I thought, okay, what kind of payoff is this? And the guy's like scanning her with the light wavy thing. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then, yeah, you see the hair change color. It's like, that's cool. And Data even like, oh, I like that.
It's a oh, they're just being annoying, like, setup-wise. And it's like, wait, what? Yeah, it goes from green to brownie green to orange. Well, red.
Looks like it goes from green to her natural hair color, then back to... That's what it looks like.
Because I was meant to, like, what a great makeup, and I'm like, wait, what? And this is a thing that we never see ever, but it's so sci-fi and simple and effective. Yeah, it's lovely. I think they realised that all this episode is people in the rooms. They were like, well, we've got quite a lot of budget this week. Patrick's only because Patrick and Jonathan are being paid more than the other guys because they're more famous, and so if you're using lesser people, they're paid less on the day, which means obviously I guess they're also in contract, but I don't know whichever way. But yeah, they definitely spent them in different ways this week, and you get a lot of the ship in this week, and it's a good little scene.
This is where Jordy says, "Yeah, she'll change her mind. They'll get married. Don't you worry." Which means you should probably go get a gift.
Yes. Yeah. Natural progression. Although you would think Data would have already, given this is the day of the wedding, would have already downloaded everything you need to know about a wedding, which would include dancing, gifts, and everything in between.
Have everything ready. Yeah, absolutely.
That feels very undatery, because it's also the day of the wedding. I mean, I know they're replicators, but if you forgot, and you would think Keiko, being the woman she is, would be like, Data, yes, Keiko, have you bought us a gift yet? Oh no, I was going to wait till the day of and then forget, and then,
But we get the Replement. We see the kid in the background getting a stuffed.
That's adorable.
Rabbit.
I love that.
Yeah.
And this is really parents. Same division. Yeah. Or at least science and medical.
And she looks way too young for him, but that's okay. She's hot, so it's fine. Anyway, so yeah, shopping for a gift. And Worf's like, yes, my parents often give these things at family weddings. And they're kind of going through, and I love the kind of catalog you've got. A chair.
Well, that's what he was looking at, I think, for himself, because the way it's framed, it's like a different set of... No, it does say personal gift. I don't know. No, I actually loved how they filmed these. It's stylized, but simple. Like, it looks like you said, a brochure. It's actually very nicely done.
Yeah. No, it's actually pretty cool. And then it scrolls through some more and comes up with the swan, the crystal swan. And Data's like, yeah, I don't think that, I don't think of you when I see that. And a gift is supposed to kind of reflect who you are.
And his face is like, what are you trying to say? I'm pretty.
Well, swans are pretty mean and vicious, actually.
Yeah. No, so actually, and for a two-shot in a room that's obviously like the side corner of the battle bridge, I think with the way the framing is, they always just moved these two boxes into the corner of a set, like, or actually, they could be the Romulan set, given those blue wall. I think it's actually the Romulan bridge. Yeah, I think it's the Redress Romulan bridge. They've just put things, but it's such an effectively busy set that it feels like a more industrial area. It's a very simple, but it's like when they made the corridor a room once, and I was like, that's actually really effective. It's really small and simple. It's very effective.
Dan23 asks a good question. Do they replicate these items, or are these items stored in a buffer? I can see if there was currency involved, I could see the more expensive things being held in a buffer, but yeah, probably just replicated material.
I mean, at that point, what is the difference between replicated and stored in a buffer, especially like glass material? That would make it. But we've seen in Picard and the Federation archives, it's dematerializing real matter and then storing it rather than creating new matter. Mm-hmm. But this is a good time to debate, though. So, what is the difference between this and a replicator in their own room?
Well, the ones in their rooms are generally just food replicators, I believe. Not necessarily all materials. Yeah, but these...
I mean, you can make sand, so not just food replicator.
Well, that's later, though. Later model install that on an older ship. Before we get there, though, Ginkgo Yoki, $5. Swans, 1 hiss, move. 2 hisses, run. Yes, this is it's like a Canada Goose.
And 3 hisses, disintegrate.
Aha ha! Aha!
I thought that's where you were going with that, because the way you said it was perfect.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this just has, in case, you don't always have in mind what you might want to give somebody.
Oh,
it's like a TV channel, right? A lot of times I don't know what I want to watch. I'm scrolling through and I'll see, oh, that show's on. Yeah, I'll watch that and catch it like from the beginning or close to the beginning. Whereas I have that same movie on my shelf.
Yep.
But I never in 1,000 years would go, I want to watch that movie right now.
Yep.
So I think the Replomats like that. It gives you something to scroll through to give you ideas. And then you can probably customize things, like change the color or something. It would be my guess.
Now, this is sort of a Rick Sternbach question, but my gut, as I think my gut's relatively good at this sort of stuff. My gut would be that the food replicators in their quarters are sort of locked for lots of things, just so that people have to go to other places to socialize. It's an experience. Like, he met his friend here, and they got to chat. Like, and as we saw in the Orville, if you can make anything you want in your own room, why are you going to 10 Forward, which are replicated food and drink? It's an experience. So I would personally think it'd be more interesting if they limited you to sort of basic selection of things, so that if you want something quickly, but you can't. I mean, you could override it, but why would you need? You could be in your own room replicating 15 outfits, or go Replimart with a friend, and
And that's why you never see the captain in 10 Forward, because he's got a much wider selection on his personal replicator.
That makes so much sense, actually. That's good. I like that. I guess why wouldn't you? I mean, we know from Lower Decks there are cards to unlock things to your officers, so that adds another little bit of canon made 35 years later that we could add from last week to today. But also, obviously, replicator is kind of this much space. It's quite a lot of space. It's for food and drink. But obviously, this replicator, it could be 5 foot tall. Broad, and I guess there is 2. So I guess if they both replicate at the same rate, you could do something wide.
And if you want to give somebody a car, you go down to the industrial replicators down in the cargo levels.
Yep.
For the repair, the engineering section, because you can make parts for the ship for repairs. So yeah, give them a car. And
then they're like, "Well, how do you drive it?" They say, "Well, I'm going to dematerialize it, put it into a USB, give it to you for the holodeck, and you've got a real replicated car in the fake holodeck that you then
Or you can just beam this one into one of the big Argo shuttles to take down to the planet, or you can just beam it into the main shuttle bay, because we've seen how huge that thing is. We never see it on screen,
That'd be cool.
You can drive around that for like hours.
So you could drive him. Imagine that, Stuart. See, that should be the new VR game. Driving your Mustang. Not your Mustang. Your what is it? It's
Camaro.
Thank you. You drive your Camaro in VR round the. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? That'd be. But I really like the how I don't like God ships. I like the idea of limiting the tech, just for socialization. So yeah, if you want to make a suit, you have to go to this place and you see people and you can. It's like shopping. And I've got a conceit in a fan film I'm watching or I'm writing, and you tell me if you think this is silly. So they're in a shuttle, and they do a database scan, and it comes up negative. They find another ship, much bigger ship, and that database does come up with something. My general thought process being that you're not going to put the entire Federation database in a shuttle. You'll have access to a more specific set of data, whereas a hero ship is going to have it much bigger. And so even though you would think it'd be useful to have everything, it wouldn't be standard procedure to have all data on both classes of ship. What do you think? It's a little narrative conceit I've got.
I could buy that. I mean, space for storage is limited, and you can't have all the Federation files or access to everything on. I mean, how many times do we hear it too, that the aliens got into our database? They're learning everything about us.
Yeah.
Good thing we don't have everything in there then, eh?
Yeah.
It would also be a good safeguard that way, so.
It's like, would you have the, Data's and Picard's Moriarty program in a shuttle in a random Type 8? Why would you need that information in the database? Why would you need ancient literature from the 14th century of Andoria on a shuttle? Like, you could, but why would you?
Well, see, And I think a lot of times there would be link ups to nearby Federation outposts or memory alpha or whatever.
Yes.
Where if you need to access something like that, you can. It'll take a little bit of time to get there because of the relay. But yeah, I kind of like that, actually.
And actually, I love that in the sense that imagine. So if you've got your there must be a way of doing this, but you've got Bluetooth earbuds, and you can connect to your phone or your PC, and you can like swap on demand, like somehow just swap the Bluetooth signal in your house. So yeah, you automatically link into your ship's computer, the main ship. So therefore, you did a Google search via your shuttle, but it actually used the ship's database, and it would be seamless because it's auto on. But in this situation, there is no main ship in that scene until they appear. So I'm glad you agree, because I just thought it's a small conceit, but why would you need this very rare data? I mean, that's why you have a computer core the size of 5 floors. Shuttles aren't even 5 floors. I'm going to read the chat, see if people agree with me, because I'm nervous about that as a thing. I don't like plot holes, so it annoys me. Yeah.
Nobody agrees with you. 106 people watching, 72 likes. We have another 75 likes that I asked for, but we have 105 people watching, which should be easy. If you haven't hit like, just hit that like button. There's 75 at least. I want to get to 100, but and also feel free to super chat and let us know what you think about Commander's idea of whether all computers should be loaded with all the information from Earth's past, which seems silly and ridiculous, actually. It's like, oh yeah, the Enterprise, do you think it has all of the Trekyards archive on its mainframe, or do you think they have to get that from Memory Alpha if they want to watch?
Well, I think it's standard reading.
Okay, well, that was a bad example. All of PewDiePie. There you go.
Unfortunately, standard reading for what not to do. But basically, Replimar, even though it feels anti-future, I like having dedicated higher-end replicators that do specialist things. I like the limitation, because you could argue, if I'm sure there's even certain crew quarters that like have installed these replicators for certain reason, or you could do that. It's just, why would you need that?
Ryan K agrees with you. Putting the data on a shuttle makes no sense, especially when you compare it to computer core sizes. Now, somebody else made the point here, Dan23. Yeah, it's like a Starfleet tricorder. It can tell you what some DNA is, but a lot of times you have to take the stuff back to the ship to do the analysis, because the tricorder doesn't have access to the whole. But then again, the tricorder can link to the ship in orbit if need be, and I kind of like the linking idea. And then, if they need to link to a mainframe or something.
And it should be wireless and instant. But if you don't have those things, it's just like boosting signal. The shuttle can link to the tricorder can link to the shuttle can link to the hero ship can link to the nearest Federation outpost, and within 15 seconds, they're like, oh, that lag. It was 15 seconds from Earth, god damn it! Just went through wireless systems. But yeah, great scene, and thanks for indulging me, because that's just I don't like plot holes. You should, if you can't write out plot holes, you're not a good writer, and that was one of those small little things.
I think another reason for the Replimat too would be different materials used. Like, you can actually get real crystal goblets made, like actual genuine crystal, as opposed to just glass that looks like crystal. That might be available through the personal one.
Well, I mean, you also got to ask why are these units so big? You could argue that maybe these things have much more heavy duty power conduits, because you need more power to replicate more complicated things.
Yeah.
Where water is simple, and a glass is simple. If you want to replicate a diamond, it will take more power, and you don't want to give everyone access, because if they're red alert or if they're low power, if everyone in their own rooms can replicate diamonds on the fly, that'll drain power to no end. Whereas these are dedicated and controllable. Yeah.
Demas Alves, $5. Trekyards is standard viewing reading for me. Yes, we're also required reading at the Academy, as all the great heroes of Starfleet will tell you.
I was just meaning like a kids show, with the equivalent of a kids show, but I thought that'd be funnier. But anyway, pregnant lady, and not Nurse Ogawa. I was like, oh, every secondary is in this. Every extra lady pans up. Oh, no Ogawa, but that's okay. She has existed, but only not.
This is Juarez.
Yeah. Yes.
But Data needs to learn how to dance, and he talks to her, and she's like, oh, "How did you hear that?" And it's in your service file.
She grabs him so like, what do you mean? great.
And the other doctor when he walks by, which we've seen him a few times,
Yes.
but he walks by and kind of gives her a look when he's talking about the dancing, and she doesn't want to be known as the dancing doctor.
Well, I took that as Commander Data wants to let her dance. That's weird. I took it more as Data being weird, but you're right if he heard about that. Because one of those folk stories of her.
Yeah, well, the dancing doctor thing's funny. I don't want to be remembered for that again. But she agrees to teach him as long as he keeps it quiet. So.
And this is one of those things that they pulled the strength of the actress, and you can tell Gates has a certain gleam in her eye in these scenes. It's like she knows one of her things is coming. She's enjoying these little moments because they're very unusual, and people like doing unusual moments. But
Matthew DeFreitas, $2.
Matthew,
beaming in a compliment. Love your lower decks ship opening. Thank you. Well, that's all Samuel. So thank you, Samuel.
Ah, you're welcome. It was fun. It is nice seeing 3D, more 3D. But Stuart, give us a likes update and view update.
We have 113 people watching.
Excellent.
With 79 likes. We hit the 50s or the 75 that I was asking for, but we can easily hit 100 with 115 people here. 113. I'm rounding up, but that's okay. Just hit that like button if you haven't already, and please let's get the likes to at least 100. That would be awesome. # make Jeff pay.
Yes, I want to see those numbers.
So, Data gets called to the bridge, and it gets asked about Romulan deployments in the neutral zone. He wants to know strengths and deployments and all that from Data. So, yeah, and Picard and the Ambassador are acting all kind of sketchy during this one, which is cool. Because, again, this is almost like a Lower Decks feeling episode.
It is. Oh, it really is. Yeah.
Because you see the captain go into the ready room with her and then come out and don't know what they're talking about, but he seems very somber, like there's something serious going on. Mm-hmm. And that's how it would be serving on a Starfleet ship, unless you're like the captain or the first off. Even the first officer's out of the loop sometimes. So
well, he is this week.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like that. I like those kind of episodes where you don't know what's going on. It puts you in the situation where that's, where you would be.
Well, and not just that, but it shows you that everyone, I was about to say the average, but everyone in the crew has to get used to the idea that the captain is going to order things that you have no context for all the time. You've got to trust him. This builds trust. We always see from his perspective, we understand the logic. But if he says red alert, battle stations, warp 1, we're going here, and you're just like, I was just calculating my son's birthday while I should be working on a stellar cartography analysis. Wait, shield? What? Okay. Like, you can't panic, you just got to do. It's very...
Then we've seen the situations where the captain gets taken over by something and issues these orders. People kind of go along with it, but then the senior staff doesn't get filled in.
Ever.
And it's like, okay, is he talking to Starfleet? Is he talking to an admiral that we don't know about? Like, what's the situation? And then they get to the point where they're suspicious enough that they kind of start calling his bluff, and
I'm wondering though with this, because I call this. I was thinking this episode. This episode has no A plot. It has 5 B plots. Because even this Romulan thing, it's not given, it's given a primary, but the wedding's really... everything's a B plot for me, personally, anyway. Yeah. But this Romulan Vulcan lady, I understand her lack of screen time because it's a mystery, but I kind of wish they gave her any screen time. Beyond this. A scene. And there is a scene. There's one scene with her of actual effect. But I do wish there was more, because it's meant to feel important, and there's a certain, for me personally, a disconnect with her. What do you think?
Well, I think there's supposed to be. Not only is she Vulcan, but she's one of the top ambassadors in Starfleet.
But they don't say that until the end, so there's no connection until right near the end. They don't set her up at all until near the end.
I still have a problem with it because she's going on this diplomatic mission to talk to the Romulans,
which we also don't know until the end.
Wow. Fine then. I won't even talk.
Well, it was this scene in particular. I'm just thinking, we haven't. There's no meat there yet, and then it all kind of comes closing in at the end.
But it makes you wonder what the hell's going on and what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Because then all of a sudden it's or he sets a course to the neutral. They'll take us close to neutral zone. Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
They will take off into the ready room.
Yeah.
I guess the the adrenaline excitement of going to the neutral zone excites them, and they need to go bang on the desk or the couch in there. I don't know.
Jesus. You fuck like a Romulan. What? No, what? I guess that's why in my brain there's no A plot, because it's not a fully featured plot.
The A plot is his letter to Maddox.
Sure. Hey, absolutely.
It's the whole thing. It's all his narration.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that for every dollar you want to throw at me. But like, especially at this point, everything is given equal time, which is not a lot of time, but it's so interweaving. And then obviously it culminates. I just would have liked one more scene with her. Maybe Data in a meeting, maybe a brief room scene of something. But, you know, this episode for me could have been 20 minutes longer. You know, Measure of Man extended version, or this extended version, give me more scenes. Like Parallels, give me another 20 minutes, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Aussie, $5. Data is learning the Dr. Crusher maneuver. Okie dokie. Skeleton hit.
Yeah.
And I wish to master irony, you lunkhead. Puts in $2 with a mood sticker. Mood.
Don't know what that means?
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Anyway, I love here too how Data's like, you know, I'm glad I can perform my duties without emotional distractions, because this might have me concerned. And then he realized his finger was tapping. Like, I love that. Like the little nervous twitch that he's kind of developed.
And that must have been a director choice, because to write that would be like, it's such a lovely organic moment.
And it never happens again. It'd be nice if it carried on, like you know. But anyway.
Yeah, it's a single joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lovely little, because you know, when Data says he hasn't got feelings, those times that, you know, he tries to murder somebody, or he loses his best friend, or he's been cheated on, you know, it's like, I don't feel anything, and you're just like, oh, you feel this right in your soul, and he, you know, so to hear his monologue where he's not obviously not lying to anybody, he's rationalizing, like earlier he says about creating a program to deal with people, and it's working but not working, but he, just like Isaac, it's a program, it's an algorithm, it's a thought process, and then, you know, he's saying, oh, I don't feel this, but he's successfully registering there should be something he should feel, which is that not the same thing? I know I should be feeling this. Why is my finger moving? Like, it's still a realization, just not necessarily a feeling, just a knowing.
Yeah.
It's clever. It's very clever, this episode. It's very smart.
Yeah. But then they get the payoff to the research he was doing. They ask in the ready room, what's the Romulan strategy? And right now, it's to support a policy of confrontation designed to test Federation defenses along the neutral zone. They talk about, is there going to be any change? He finds it unlikely that they're going to continue to just do this policy. But yeah, anyway, the ambassador says the mission must proceed as planned. And again, if you don't know what's going on, you're like, okay, there's something deeper going on here that we just don't know. Like, they're aware of something that we're not in on.
Well, I mean, this is the equivalent of Will Smith coming to a school play, and they're talking to the director backstage, like, oh, well, something's going to happen, isn't it? This A-lister is in our midst doing something. Yeah, there's going to be a thing here. You know. Although I'm wondering the exact connection between this assessment, the way I took it, and tell me your vibe, it might be the same, but tell me, was more a case of Picard is fighting her mission to go in the neutral zone, so he's doing his own risk assessment to say, Data, what's the risk of going in there? He's saying this.
I see.
That's what I took from it, because otherwise it doesn't. What do you think?
I didn't get that, because when he asks for the Romulan information on the bridge, he's kind of looking to the ambassador for subtle cues and nods.
For special
and it's like,
stuff.
It's like she requested this information because she's going in to do this peace treaty or whatever it is, and they're looking for evidence to the contrary that the Romulans are actually have something different planned or in mind. He's kind of deferring to her a little bit with his body language and the way he looks at her. And even here, she shuts him down at the end. And he I forget what he says exactly. Hold on, let me see here. Starfleet Command agrees with you that the mission must go ahead, but I would feel better if you would consent to an escort. Or and then she cuts him off with a look. And then he says, "Thank you, Mr. Data." Like he's deferring to her. Like he has respect for her. Like even as much as an admiral.
Well, he does love his Vulcan ambassadors. He loves his Sarek, he loves his whatever this lady's name is. Okay.
Yeah, I never got that feeling. I felt it was more like she was asking these questions, and
Through him. So he's.
Picard was the middleman for Data. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely got a sense that this woman is actively trying not to talk, so it doesn't give away she's not a Vulcan, because it's hard to be different to yourself. A Romulan and a Vulcan, like a Vulcan can't pretend to be a Romulan. A Romulan can pretend to be a Vulcan, but she's not talking or in any scene.
That being said, she's one of the best ambassadors in Starfleet, which means she's been there at least 30 years, probably.
Yep, probably more.
And they make the point of saying, yeah, she's finally back with us. So yeah, she's been deep undercover for a while. So,
but there's also the audience factor of real audience, as in because if she's playing a straight Vulcan, then the reveal is like, okay, so she has to give hints, and then you can tell, like, even in this scene, her she's emoting more, like like you Vulcans wouldn't do that. It'd be a more gentle, subtle. I mean, I obviously knew she was a Romulan, but I could see the emotional cues that were pushing further than you'd go for a Vulcan right from the first scene. Obviously, she knew that she was doing that deliberately. That's the sense I got, that she was hiding, just so I guess even just the audience doesn't know.
And Dave L says, "And where is Troy with her spidey senses?" Well, yeah, I would assume that this ambassador would have enough mental control to be able to hide that, because there's been Betazoids and stuff.
Well, because not just that, she's been picked for this mission 30, 40 years ago, just like in Discovery or Picard. Oh, Freudian slip, same show. You know, these are obviously the best of the best at this. You know, she went to Can I Be a Vulcan school and got top marks, like Michael Burnham in Vulcan school. But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes more sense. And there's definitely a sense of not necessarily in control, but yeah, Picard is not a leader in this episode so much as a reactor, but very intentionally.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff.
Then we get Data down in his quarters, feeds his cat, and
introduction of Spots, because I was like, has he appeared yet? I'm like, no, he hasn't, has he? We got a cat.
So. But O'Brien comes in and
Felis catus
apologizes for his reaction in the morning, but I love how Data's like, his voiceover is like, yeah, make your guests feel comfortable, and he starts asking, would you like a pillow? Would you like a different chair?
I'll go the mark right now. I'll use Mr. Worf's suggestion. Got spikes.
And here's another thing I thought. Here's Lieutenant O'Brien, and we were talking about rank quite a bit last little while.
2 pips easily.
Yep, 2 pips, and mistake. Maybe he'll be a commander in the next scene.
Yeah, because I mean that we know that's a good rank to be. And then in DS9 he is not anything. I'm guessing. I mean, that's the first problem with O'Brien. He was never meant to be a character. Then they made him a character with each appearance, giving him more things. Yeah. And they presumably at this point thought, "Oh, we could use him more. Let's upgrade his rank so he obviously has more reason to be in scenes. He's got a wife now. He's got his job. Everyone clearly likes him. We'll give him the rank of a higher officer so he can be places."
Yeah.
But then the nature of everything else. But then this scene's great, and Colin does a really good job here. This is like the least normal scene he's ever done in this show, and he does it tremendously well. But he asked
Data to speak to Keiko, essentially.
Yes. Although I find the scene of, well, at first you introduced us, which is a nice line, but you've known a lot longer, years longer, is impetus. I'm thinking, Keiko's a school teacher. How would Data have worked with her and known her really well, better than he does, having been dating her for however long? How would they have talked to each other that much? Be a school teacher and the guy that ops the ship.
They banged a few years ago. It was an experiment.
The rebound after Tasha.
Yeah.
But that just felt a bit weird. Be that friendly.
Jersey of $5. At least she didn't defect and spend half an episode telling the Romulan tactical officer to prepare for the pilot.
Yeah, she's a much more effective spy than O, to be fair. And she didn't need sunglasses. She never did. She had the hat. The hat of stupidity, not sunglasses of stupidity. And this scene's again a little bit weird because Keiko gave no context as to why to break up. And so him coming in, to me it reads as, oh, she's getting cold feet, she doesn't know what she's talking about, please convince the silly woman to marry me. Like, there's no reason given But when we get Keiko in a little bit, it's played very dark. When this is
Well-
just like, oh, come on, she doesn't know what she's saying, Data. Convince her. Convince the woman. But there's no context, so it's kind of like, well, okay.
Yeah, it leads right into the next scene where he talks to Keiko, and
Oh,
it's
there you
like, I think you made a mistake. You didn't analyze all the facts, and it's
Well, hold on. Well, before he goes in, he's like, well, no, last time I talked to her, she was very logical and calm. Brilliant. I can talk to her logically and calm. It's going to work. Shut up, Data! Didn't work. Yeah, sorry. I just thought the intro was good.
yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, and she goes on to say, it's not that simple, Data. Yeah. And he's like, you should reconsider your decision-making process. It's like, you don't tell a woman that.
Well, I mean, it's the problem, because Brian's instructions were just, she might not have considered it to help her consider it. But him telling her that doesn't mean anything in this context.
But then she ends up yelling at him, I thought you were my friend. And then leave me alone. It's like, wow. Women.
But there's no logic here. Like, why is she this angry? Does she not love him? Because I don't think cold feet is this sort. I mean, again, I've not ever been a woman getting married on the day of marriage, so I can't speak to that. But she feels totally nonplussed. Like, I wish she just gave one reason, from too curly hair, too small a position on the ship, or
too big ears. He's got big ears.
Or she's like, you got no. I know the reason she can't get married is because he suddenly became a lieutenant. All that power went to his head. He was a demote, or I'm not marrying you. So that's the next scene. He has an ensign. So, yep, thank you.
Well,
I mean,
anyway,
can anybody explain why Keiko plot? Why not? Why not want to marry? Why this scene? 'Cause it just doesn't look good on her. She's a villain in this episode. That's weird. She's actively a negative villainous force as far as you can go for an episode this positive. It's weird.
But it leads into a great scene, because the next scene we get a shot of a pan up of some teacups and Troy's cleavage, which is beautiful.
Because that wasn't intentional at all, yes.
Well, I mean, I got some screen caps of it for the audience.
This was
Anyway.
very, very, very there.
Pixels at dawn, 5 pounds. Keiko. But Data, do you realize how much emotional support and therapy Miles is going to need over the next 10 years? Yeah, no shit, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes to Troy and asks for some advice. And, Keiko talks to you. O'Brien talks to me. Why can't they talk to each other?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes on to say, sometimes it's a puzzling situation, but sometimes friends just need you to leave them alone. It's like, okay, thanks.
But that's a rule that how do you know when to apply that? Because, what? It's so unhelpful.
I love how he says, I've been studying a lot of guides, variables in a successful marriage, and she laughs and says, good luck.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Ryan K comments, she doesn't start teaching until DS9. I believe she's probably a botanist. Yeah, I thought she was a botanist. And I remember DS9 I was like, well, she's a teacher there, so should she... But yeah, I thought she was a botanist too. Hence why she's in a botany place. Oh, speaking of that set, I thought was actually rather good. Their interior garden set. That's rather effective. Yeah, I quite like this scene with Troy. It's interesting. Some good performances. But it's just like, why is Keiko... Like, no one's asking why. Why is no one asking why? I know cold feet can be non-reasoned, but then how is he meant to fix a non-reasoned thing? Who are you meant to side with here?
Yeah.
Otherwise it feels
we also
like,
find out,
make them marry because they need to. That's abuse. It's like, what?
and we also find out that Data is considered getting married at some point, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's like, whoa, to grow old and die with the other person? I never considered that. Anyway, that's kind of a nice, I thought I might get married someday, so...
Well, but that I saw as his logical brain saying, with several trillion life forms in the universe, there'll be one life form that will be, that will make sense for me.
Yeah, it's almost like, she's like, oh, I didn't realize you thought about marriage. Then she goes up to him and says, you have a lot to offer. It's like, because now she's realizing that android is available.
That finger wants a ring on it. As in Data's.
That Bob, that battery operated. Anyway, tuning 3434 €2. Isn't it obvious? Miles said he doesn't like MASH.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, she's kind of weird because she goes over. She got lots to offer, and then he gets called away to the Vulcan ambassador's quarters. So, in which we find her with another stupid headpiece, which yes looks very Vulcan, but still reminds me of like a fish fin.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's clearly just the undergarment of a dress, but it's a weird choice. Weird choice. Now this is a really interesting little scene. I'll give him credit for the weirdness of the scene in a good way.
She requires information on the ship's defensive and navigational systems, and then she gives the access code Kappa Alpha 4601704. And Data's like, the code's valid. So she's like, okay, well, what's the maximum output of the field strength of the deflector shields? And he's like, why are you asking? Just as she requires information, he's like, well, I have the same safeguards as the computer, so I'm going to have to let the captain know you've asked this question. She's like, I was just testing your security safeguards. They're adequate. You can leave now. Forget the request. It's like, oh, well, that's not too weird.
Yeah, but the way it plays, if you're a less observative audience member, it's actually played very straight, like she's genuinely testing him, because that makes sense too. You have to trust him in a pinch. There's some secret mission because he's the only one that's being involved with the two of them, Picard and her. So it makes sense he'd be trusted with the special mission. Makes sense. But if you know the episode and you think there's something weird here, then it's a wonderful like, oh, never mind. Like it's a weird scene because it's such like a blatant like, tell me how to kill your crew. Just kidding, you passed the test.
Yeah, I would still be reporting it to the captain about Data, because he goes on to say, I wish I had the gut feeling or the intuition that a human has. But
what she says, he says, because she's a Vulcan, Vulcans can't lie, I'll trust her. That's beautiful. I love that.
But he also says, I would still prefer having a gut feeling.
Sure.
To back up a conclusion.
But the fact the show tells us that is such a, she's not a Vulcan! Look, we teased it! Which I love. I actually love it. I think it's very effective. But this is her one scene, really. But it
Area 51. Trekyards, I'm guessing she tried to hide the I Love Romulans tattoo on the side of her head.
Yeah. It does.
Hashtag Romulan for life.
Sarcastic Vulcan salute, bitch!
Yep.
It's amazing how that isn't cringy in the same way it should be.
No.
That's amazing. That is anyway. Then you get the dancing, which again I was not as fond of it because it was very slow, which is weird because they're going fast. But the payoff is so good that it works. But it also makes me think, Data, you didn't specify what sort of dancing.
You'd think she'd know, though. She knows about the wedding. Why is he all of a sudden asking for dancing advice? Is it for the wedding? It's one of the first things I'd ask.
Well, I think it's one of those things where if I said, Stuart, tell me about cars, you'd say, well, a Camaro, this, and this. And I went, no, about Fords. And you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, because your mind defaults to something. Always to something. So she goes to her speciality tap dance.
Yeah, what she enjoys the most, maybe, yeah.
But it's such an abstract dance form. Like, that would not be the one you'd go to in any other situation. But I'm assuming it's also a very, like, visual thing. And like I said, I don't know if you got that, but the reason that those glass windows are so bright is because they blur out the sides. It's very smart, very simple. It looks weird. But Brent...
Plus, she says this is, like, the dance studio she got her first lesson in. So I assumed it was also kind of like ooh, this great memory, and look how magical it looks. Yeah. You know, that kind of vibe, too, so...
I just really like, it's so obvious to tell when they cut, but it's so well done. That top view, he's just looking just enough. It's good, because you can tell his hairline's different. But it's always Gates, and it's always... But this one shot, it's clearly not Brent. It's really blatant.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Brent, but it's very well done. It's a very smart thing, because you can't hide it.
And Mr. Jeff Jacobs throws in $2.02. 102 likes. Sweets on to 150. Hashtag Mike McMahon likes Spike. Hashtag make Jeff pay. Yes. Awesome. We have 125 people here with 101 likes.
Oh, well, that's getting there. That's getting there. Not quite.
115? Can 14 more people throw in a like? Just hit the like button,
free.
please. It is free, and it's a great way to help out the channel and support us. But so are super chats. So if you want to super chat a question, comment, concern, anything we want us to read on the air, please do so.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly a little bit light today, but we're only halfway, so you know, if we can double it, that'd be great. We're not going to, but if we could. But then he does call out, wait, for the wedding. She's like, oh my god, the wedding. I love the interplay here. It's very organic, very natural. And she takes him through a routine. And you know, she's surprised he gets tap. But dancing is a... He can memorize. She shouldn't be surprised. He gets tap within one dance. He understands the hardest bit of tap. She's like, oh my... Like, she's so out of breath. Like, oh my god, you got the hardest lesson I could teach in the first go. Shit. But then it comes...
She's kind of jealous, though. She's kind of jealous. I love how he says, you should just maybe show me the final thing. After, like, the first, like, couple steps. Yeah.
Data, it's been 45 seconds. Exactly, Doctor. For me, an eternity. Oh. It took me 45 years to learn, yeah. But I love then the juxtaposition. He can't do the other dance because it's improv. But, and I love the logic. He can't see his feet. It's simple. It's effective.
And he says there's so many variables going on, like redirecting the feet, you know, and not hitting everybody else on the dance floor. I love that because there are a lot of variables going on. But you don't think about it.
But it's this double beautiful comment about the human condition because earlier today he cross-referenced the entire Romulan neutral zone to the Federation neutral zone and all ship deployments. And he didn't complain once. 15 seconds into ballroom, he's like, this is a lot to think about at the same time. This is harder than that because it's different. I love that slight juxtaposition of ease and not. It's there. It's sort of subtle, but I love the small touches. That's called good writing, guys. Layers, like an onion.
And it makes you feel very good for being a human because you're like, goddamn right, there's a lot of variables, and we can do it. So ha.
It's a great. This is the payoff. Seeing him learn this personally.
But then the whole look at me, Data. Or look up, Data. And he looks up. No, at me, Data. Smile.
Oh.
And he's got that I'm the Joker smile. Yes. And then she gets called away to take care of the birth. And she's like, just call up a dancing partner. So he calls one up, and again with the face.
That he should have been a Joker. That is definitely. I love how clearly a glamorous one. It's like, computer, what? How high is a glamour setting set? 45 out of 30. I have been hacked, Commander. Ooh. Yeah, it's like a bit excessive for a dance part. You know what I mean?
Well, that looks like one of Riker's dance partners. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Hey, I mean, Boimler. No. But Boimler, Burnham, Mariner. Mariner's not here to clean up after, but Riker has been here. And I also liked the beat. Oh yeah, where the Data says, now you lead, and they shift hands beautifully in one moment.
Yep. That was awesome. Just puts his hand up, and it's like, yep.
Is so crisp. Oh, and actually, again, one thing about the original dance, they're genuinely well in sync at the start of the tap. Brent does very good, and you can tell Gates taught him. Like, they worked the scene together. They got the scene together. He did really well. All credit, because there's a genuine flow to emotions that feels good, and that's hard, Yeah, just good overall.
Then we get Riker telling a joke on the bridge to the security lady, and yeah, anyway. And Data's like, there's probably a correlation between humor and sex. This, more research is clearly indicated. At least in his letter to Maddox. But yeah, they reach the location, and they get a ship, Warbird. And I love how they get a message that's text only. They actually make that statement, which they need to proceed to another set of coordinates. And anyway, it's pretty great. Goes to red alert. Picard orders red alert, and the ambassador looks at him like, no. He's like, hey, I trust my people. They're not going to do anything without my say-so. Relax.
Yeah, now we start, obviously, to move away from all the other subplots, and now we get very focused on this one as the tension sorts of rise. And yeah, now they've got instructions. They go, right, let's get there. Warp 7. Okay, we're there. Impulse. I guess, there's a lovely little bit of speed in this episode where slow, and then suddenly you do get a sense of the exponential nature of warp when 15 minutes of warp 2 is only 3 seconds at warp 8, and you get a real sense of that, which is nice. It's effective. Yeah.
But we meet Admiral Mendak, who
Who
makes a great Romulan, by the way.
who we know and have seen before, and we'll see again, and I can't remember what, as in Trek. I think he's a Romulan again, or he's a Cardassian, because he's got a very good role in another episode, and I can't remember.
I can see him being a Cardassian.
Where's his face?
James McGill, $5.
Thank you.
Was refreshing to have a story from Data's point of view. Always felt this episode, Chief Miles O'Brien became a minor character of note. Yeah, this one definitely brought him to the forefront. Not that he wasn't already, because he's always kind of there, and he's had some relatively heavy speaking parts in some episodes. So.
He went from being a favoured extra to a primary secondary.
He's like DeSalle or Kyle from TOS.
Yeah.
That was eventually in Star Trek II on the Reliant as well. So yeah.
Also, it wasn't Mott. It was Vassal. Was Barber at the start. I just
another Bolian Barber.
Yeah, which is kind of nice. They had to. I guess Bowen's like to barbers. They're the most expertise in barbery.
Barbarism. Wait a minute, that's not the right word.
Maybe not. Now, where is the actor?
While you're looking that up, I love how the Romulan's like, I noticed you've put your defensive systems active, and Picard's like you have as well. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm actually saluting your show of strength, which is good.
It's super calm, but it works.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we are learning with the audience, and we are the audience learning with the characters, and it's very much like. So yeah, is this a thing? Is this a problem? Don't know. Yeah.
So then they arrange to beam her over, and again, Picard says, "I urge you once more to reconsider. The Enterprise can accommodate a Romulan delegation on board. You don't have to beam over there because it's dangerous." And she shoots him down, of course. Carry out my instructions. And she goes down to the transporter room.
Yeah, the Romulan guy hasn't acted since 2007, which is surprising. When his last thing was Babylon 5, the last movie, and they did 3 episodes of Andromeda.
Generazia says Alan Scarf is his name.
Yep.
Tokath in Birthright. And Ogris in Voyager Resistance.
Yes. He had quite a lot in that one. He's also in Atlantis, like Atlantis. He was in 7 Days as the Doctor. That's also I recognise him. Due South. There you go. You should recognise him from that. Being a Canadian. Yeah.
Do not.
Sequest as well. Quantum Leap as well. Columbo as well. Alien Nation. Basically every show of its kind.
Yeah. Like a lot of actors from Star Trek.
He's not passed away. He just hasn't acted since 2007. But I like his performance a lot as an actor. I like the vibe he gives off. I'm sad he hasn't done any more. And he's done nothing else. He's done no producing, editing. Huh. Weird.
Anyway, the whole transporter emergency thing is all off screen. It's all just through dialogue from the transporter room, which they're losing her signal, boosting the auto sequencers, whatever. And he loses the pattern, and the ambassador is dead. Dun, dun, dun.
And it is super abrupt. But the way they cut on Patrick's face, it's a weird face to choose. Almost makes you think, is there something going on here? As if he's one step ahead, being like, ooh, I thought that could happen. Like, not quite, but he's not like, what? Or, how can that be? He's just like, huh? Like, it's a weird face. I'm not sure what he's trying to present. I don't know if that stood out to you as well, but... Like, I want it now on the live, but take a look. Like, what is that face trying to tell us? I can't quite...
It's oh shit, we're in trouble with both the Romulans and Starfleet.
I guess.
They killed an ambassador.
I guess. Oh, and Ron says, this is what happens when the transport chief is distracted. Yeah, on his wedding day. Well, it shows.
He was yelling at Keiko when she walked in. Listen, woman! Oh, hold on, I gotta do my job.
One-handed. Right. presses all the wrong buttons, and all you hear is a scream like a tear baby. Oh shit! Well, I'm wondering, he couldn't even get his wedding day off. Seriously, come on, Picard, give him
That's a very good point, actually.
It's
a very good point.
Wedding day. I know it's something after the shift, but come on.
Unless he was scheduled to be off, and then once he found out she canceled, he's like, screw it, I'm gonna go to work, keep my mind off of things.
Yeah, also possible. But he's doing very well because he's just been dumped by his fiance on the day of their wedding, 4 hours early. Doing very
only
well.
cake. I'd kind of be like, ooh, I dodged a bullet.
Okay. Skeleton hands, right. Yeah, anyway, and they talk to the Romulan. He is displeased and plays the card of, well, I guess you are here just to waste my time then, aren't you? I guess we should both leave, otherwise we'll have another accident might happen. Beautiful performance. It's a wonderfully calm. I mean, I know he's bluffing, fine, but it's a calm, considered. It's more scary because he's not angry.
Yeah.
Like
It's worth pointing out too that the transporter is working fine. Everything, all the backups are fine. They tested everything, and they actually asked about the transition coil, and Miles is like, yeah, we actually replaced that only last week, which got me thinking. Okay, so it's a brand new, unproven part essentially.
Yep.
So that line of dialogue kind of screwed things up a little bit. But then if you also say it's been working properly for 6 months, you're like, well, it's an old part then. Because there's been a few times where you replace something on a car, and literally it breaks down like 2 days later because from the factory the part was faulty, and you didn't know it until you used it.
Yep.
So anyway,
I was waiting for Riker to say, let's check the part, let's just disassemble it and take the part out. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously that part. I mean, I think the story is thrown in there to make us think it's the part. Because again, this episode doesn't work as well if you know she's a Romulan. Like, the mystery is gone, obviously. But I knew, so I'm watching it as a procedural rather than any sort of tension.
Well, yeah.
It's a small note, but that scene would mean more if you're like, oh, the transporter's probably wrong. So you don't think she's a Romulan at this point. You don't think... Yeah. Well, there's no evidence there, so you're not thinking it. Well, they don't lead into it.
Well, the fact that, I mean, now they're talking about how long she's been an ambassador for and stuff to throw you off the fact that she's a Romulan. Because I love how Picard's like, to die on a transporter. He gives that look like, hardly a fitting end to one of the Federation's most honored diplomats.
It is weird to say that after she's dead. Like, we haven't, like, at that point, like, oh, she is an important character. Not just a one-off random Vulcan. Like, it's weird to set her up after she's already dead. But like, I don't think they do establish she's a Romulan at all. I think that is a completely out of left field reveal. And like you said early on, like, oh, she is acting very Vulcan-y. It's like, well, there's no hints she's a Romulan at all. So it's very much like a, wait, what? Because there are no clues. Yeah. It makes sense second viewing because it's like, well, she's weird, but there's no clues to it, you know?
Yeah. Well, then the Romulans like, so what kind of accident? Transporter accident. We're still investigating. It's like, oh, well, I can see the Federation was never serious about this conference. It's like your priorities are. He actually says, "Well played, Captain." Starfleet opposes normalization of relations with the Romulan Empire. So you were ordered to create an accident. Anyway, yeah, Picard's like, and he actually bites the bullet here and says, you know what? I'm willing to go into full diplomatic relations with you guys, talk to you guys, get this sorted out, continue the mission under the same terms as Ambassador T'Pel. And the guy's like, well, you know, that's a generous offer, considering you know that we would only deal with her. So, yeah, I think we're gonna... It's probably worth leaving the neutral zone, both of us, before another accident happens.
I mean, my fingers slip all the time, and the torpedo button is right next to the open communication button. I agree it's a poor design, but I mean, if torpedoes are fired... I mean, I'm an awkward person. Oh no, I did it right now! You better go quick. Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, he's the correct level of menacing. Yeah, very underplayed. And yet they leave, but only at warp 2. warp is very carefully used because they don't want to step on anyone's toes. They're just leaving a sign of, yes, I'm leaving, but I'm not sure I quite buy it.
And Picard doesn't believe the transporter was an accident, so he has Mr. Data investigates. And then we hear about it was Captain Picard who first introduced me to the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and I've become an admirer of Sherlock Holmes, whatever. So then they, and this is mentioned in every Sherlock Holmes thing ever, once you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains sort of improbable must be the truth. But they're testing the transporter, and then we see her go to sickbay and ask if she has the residue. It's kind of disgusting, of the ambassador, that he'd like to take a look at it.
This is a thing I'm not as fond of because it's absurdly easy to prove otherwise. I know they say this is not normal procedure, but all they have to do is one scan and it proves it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I thought she said earlier there wasn't enough remains on the transporter pad to do an autopsy. It's like, oh, ew.
That's a really stupid comment.
See that already, thank you.
It's a stupid comment. There's also nothing on the transporter room. It's clearly just like particles. Like, there's no blob there.
It's not like in the motion picture where what we got back didn't live long, fortunately.
Yeah, like they say her pattern, like destabilized. There would be nothing left apart from traces of matter. So obviously, but I don't like this scene is silly. It's just like, yeah, check one thing. Oh, it wasn't real. Cool. These are Romulan specialists. After 30 years, their plan and their one chemical substance, they couldn't even get that right. Like it's not. Like, okay, I prefer this to the Picard approach where they do magic to wave wands and see stuff through whatever bullshit. But it's so easy, you know?
Well, yeah, I know. They did a deep dive into the scan, but still, yeah, I agree. They got the mitochondrial structure, fine. Nucleotide base is all right, but there's a discrepancy in the base pair sequence. Dun, dun, dun. Chemically, they're identical. However, the organic sample from the transporter is showing numerous single-bit errors, like replicated material. So,
why couldn't they use her bio on file from 30 years ago? Why don't they replicate new? I just thought I know that we couldn't spend too much time on it. It just felt absurdly easy. There was no great solve. It was just computer. Doctor tries one simple thing. Okay. Oh, we found it. Great. Thanks, Doctor. We solved the mystery of the. But I guess O was ridiculously stupid too, so...
Yes.
I mean, we only have precedents of stupid agents. It's like, why didn't O just turn around after Riker's fleet left, come back and bomb the planet? Don't know why she didn't do that.
Because Riker's fleet was supposedly chasing them back to Romulan space.
Well, they could cloak, turn. I mean, they're the strongest ships in the Romulan fleet, Yeah,
there's only 120-something to keep track of. They could have turned one or two back. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, the next scene in the ready room, Data points this out that it's fake, and that actually what happened is there was another transporter beam that beamed her off the pad and replaced her with the residue, which is a really cool idea, and you would suspect that from the Romulans, but at this point we think, oh, she's been kidnapped, she's being held against her will for some reason. So it's like, okay, that's shitty. Where are they? They're heading towards home at Warp 2. Well, we should get there really quick.
Warp 8? Okay, we're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Data. Yeah. Most people do this, but nope, Picard's doing that.
Yeah, Data says the best course of action would be to talk to Starfleet and get their thoughts, but, there's a less than 17% chance that Picard's going to do that. And right after he says that, he's like, red alert. Let's go.
I mean, you can tell that Picard feels very, very responsible for the life of it is in terms of the safety of this ambassador. So any chance she's alive, like he's going to jump to it.
Even though he multiple times said to her, there's better ways to do this. We can send somebody with you. We can bring them over here. Like he was safeguarding her safety. So he's done everything he can.
But as we know, Vulcans are stubborn, and they think themselves too smart for their own goods. Often.
It's very true. Very true.
But yes, they warp in, and it's and this is one of the appropriate. It takes seconds, unlike Picard Discovery, where we got to Vulcan in the same few minutes. It feels very natural.
because they go at warp 8 to catch up to them at warp 2. So.
Yeah. Which I actually like the fact they're only meandering out of the neutral zone because they have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide, so they're not going to rush. It's a power play almost, isn't it?
And I also love the fact that Romulan doesn't lie. So there's no one being held captive aboard this ship.
Yep.
Doesn't deny that they have her. Just nobody's being held captive.
And I love the framing because you know she walks in, so it's just like, look at the framing. Wait for it. It's a 2-shot. Yeah.
Either that or he's got a YouTube channel, and that's where his graphics go.
Well, the robot's his co-host. Hello, I am the AI robot.
My name is Plasmatron.
Welcome back to Romulan Yards. Today we're talking about the Next Class Warbird. But yeah, it's a beautiful twosome here. The way that Derek's cloaks in looks great. They choose their shots very carefully. And the bluff here is great. As Dave says, the bluff here is great. But I was thinking, like, 2 against 1, that is a hard fight. And at point blank, like, Picard will probably die, but be able to take at least one of them out with him.
But then we find out there's 3 more coming in.
Not bothered
so there's
cloaked.
Absolutely no way that the Enterprise is gonna.
There ain't no Klingon forces to decloak. Although I'm kind of like it wasn't Tomalak. You can imagine it could have been Tomalak, but the vibe is totally different than what Tomalak could bring.
The other ship might have been Tomalak. We just didn't see it. Yeah. We find out she's actually Sub-Commander Salak.
Yes.
If anybody cares about the name. So, a Patriot captain. She has performed her service for the Empire with distinction. So she's been undercover for
5 years.
At least. Something like that, yeah.
And actually, she knows O.
Yeah. So, they had dinner together every day.
Yeah. No, seriously, like, yeah. I mean, in the retconniness of it, they might have even gone into the academy together, both being Vulcans. I mean, they could be the same age. It's totally plausible. So they might have gone in together. And wouldn't it be great to retcon this, to cut to a shot from this scene to O, and get a Picard impersonator to say, "Commander O, I'm sorry, but this woman is actually a spy." And I was like, "Oh dear. Let's do an investigation. I'll head up the investigation. There are no more Romulans in our midst."
That would be fucking awesome.
Fan retcon.
How dare the Romulans infiltrate us like that? I'll look into it right away, Picard.
And it cuts to bloody the sister as well. Like, she's there as well. It's like, there's so many Romulans. Why is everyone a Romulan in Starfleet? But this is definitely an out of left field reveal. It's so random. Like it's a shock with no setup. But you are just like, oh damn. Oh damn.
Oh, I love how Picard looks defeated, because I mean, Riker says sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you, and he's like, take us back to Federation territory, warp 6, and he does this instead of engage. He just does the
yeah.
And then you see the Enterprise turn and take off, which is actually a fantastic shot.
Yeah, there's a few new random ones in this episode, and it's definitely it did leave me thinking though that we have had Romulan brainwashing and other scenes where things aren't what they appear. So there must be, I'm guessing, and this is just subtext, that his interactions with her the last day make him think, oh, that makes sense. Like something was wrong.
Think, oh, Commodore O. They act a lot alike. You said oh, so I couldn't resist.
I like it. But you know what I mean? I think it's not so much, okay, I'll give in, because he's not the sort of guy to give in. But he's just like, that actually makes some sense, you know?
Yeah.
Although I kind of wish there was more of, she would say more, but I guess she's a non-character in the first place, so why would you make a character at the end as well? Like, she's lackluster either way. Although I do like her vocal inferences completely change, so she does both sides well. Although I wish she'd kind of said, guys, nice to be able to talk with, more words and more inflection. Like, wow, I can...
Fuck you, Federation. Been waiting a long time to say this. Yeah, I'm emotional now.
And I hate you. I hate you. Be Anakin Skywalker on the mountain. I hate you. Yeah, just really mean. But yeah, they warp away. Beautiful Deck shot. That was yeah, very rare you see new ones of that ship, so good for them. And then, cut to galaxy important plot to Keiko O'Brien. It's a little bit odd. It's fine. It's just a little bit funny. Galactic consequences to. Hello, Keiko. You're a botanist on the Enterprise. You're not even an officer. You're a civilian.
And he apologized. He's like, I offended you. You didn't offend me. You should probably get dressed for the wedding and all. It's like, what? Oi!
So, this scene, Stuart.
Uh-huh.
I understand the revelation of she's a Romulan comes out of nowhere and is completely abrupt. But in this scene, I was waiting every breath for Dave to say, so what made you change your mind? Oh, this, and this. And do we get that, Stuart?
Nope. Absolutely not.
Why is this scene played this way? There's no reason for this scene the way it's played. She's decided to marry him because crickets. And she also plays it the exact same way as the first scene with, I don't love him anymore. I don't want to marry him. I'm normal. This scene, I want to marry him. I'm normal. Like there's not even any context shift of how she's acting it. It's as if nothing's changed in her life. It's so strange. Definitely the weakest scene by an absolute mile.
It's oh, look at the time. The episode's almost over. Yes, I'm gonna marry him now.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's really weird. I don't get it.
Hence is, the mystery that is woman.
I guess. Or maybe she thought, hey, if a Vulcan ambassador can die and then be revealed to be a Romulan ambassador, life's too short. I'll marry him.
I read somewhere that O'Brien has to suffer. I think I can accomplish that.
It's just so weird. It doesn't edit well. The episode's so well thought out, and it just absolutely shits itself in this scene.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
Like it was a guy in a beautiful suit, and he's talking well, and then suddenly all of a sudden, and you see shit run down his trousers. You're like, why did this happen?
Wow.
The wedding's nice,
yeah,
though.
Listen to Jericho. She's already knocked up. Yeah, maybe she found out she was pregnant. Oh, now I gotta get married.
I mean, that's a good... Or, to make it even harsher, she found she was pregnant in the first scene, didn't know if it was his or not, so he called for the wedding, got a pregnancy test, found, oh, don't need to do your DNA test, it was his, called back on the wedding.
There's no Klingon DNA, thank God. All right, yeah, let's get married.
Yeah. But yeah, nice wedding. Although I'm wondering, 1,000 people on the ship, they only have 7 friends. Like, it's not a lot of people for a wedding.
Well, it's probably maybe broadcast to an auditorium. Who knows?
But I was expecting, they can do recitals with Sarek with more people, and less people. She has less friends on the Enterprise.
I know, but they wanted to set up this way as close friends. They got an open bar,
Yeah, where's bloody where's
Guinan?
Guinan, yeah. It could have been a great joke where she pours a drink and it like becomes fireworks and just like happy marriage and it's like, oh thanks, Guinan.
Yeah.
Actually, that would have been cute. Actually, cut from that scene to the bar and Guinan's talking to Keiko and then Data walks in and at the end of that Keiko's like, you know what, Data, I want to marry him, and she's like, why?
Decided I want to marry him. Yeah.
And then Guinan just winks at Data. That would be all you needed. They talk.
Or just turns back and looks at Guinan, and Guinan gives her kind of like the nod, like, you're welcome.
That would have been perfect. It's also a non-scene.
Tuning, 3434, €5.
Thank you.
Keiko, I might also get a transporter accident any day. Safer to marry.
That's good.
Well, yeah, you don't want to piss off the chief, transporter operator. Like that comic says, I could beam them all into space right now. Just lock onto them in their quarters.
Maybe that's what happened. She found a note in the Arboretum, said to Keiko, and it says, I could beam you at any time. And she's like, to O'Brien, darling.
Why?
Yes, I'm married now. Good. Close channel.
I can beam you anytime. Widest possible dispersal.
or the note says, you know that ambassador, I can do the same to you at any time. I could do the same to you.
Only your base pair sequences would match, bitch.
Because she doesn't know she's a Vulcan. Would that be an embarrassment to Starfleet? So all the things is Brian Byer murdered a Vulcan. Wow. Whoo! But this is a beautiful wedding, and we're saying he's murdering people. We're going to murder Keiko. Beautiful.
We get her name, Keiko Ishikawa. There.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, nice ceremony, and then you get the Data narration. He's mystified by some things he can never fully comprehend: anger, hatred, revenge. But he is not mystified by the desire to be loved or to need friendship.
Lovely lines. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are things I do understand.
And I like that they're all in dress uniforms. At least the primaries are. Nice touch. I like.
And we get to see that nice dress on Troy, which we do see in another episode as well.
A couple actually. It's one of the nice dress ones. I like that Geordie's best man doesn't have to say a damn word. It's nice. You know?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Simple. Although I did think that it was a little bit odd. Not that odd, but because it happens all the time. But everyone's in full uniform except Troy's in a full-on dress. It's like you should either all be in dress uniform, all be out of uniform except the dress uniform, or Troy should be in her normal uniform. Why is she the only one making an effort? And there's one non-commissioned officer, whatever. You know, I know they're extras. It doesn't matter. But it would have been nice to have seen Riker in like he was her date to the wedding. He was wearing a normal outfit. That would have been great to see, rather than everyone in uniform again. Small thing, but it annoyed me a little bit. Oh yeah, and they do dance. Didn't see that the first time around. That's nice.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that. Cool.
Then we get Picard down in the nursery, and he's like,
Yeah.
While we were dealing with death, this was happening, this miracle at the same time. And again, that's got to think that happens a lot on the Enterprise, right? Like there's other stuff going on while they're facing death. And especially when the ship like rocks back and forth. Can you imagine me doing something like working on a model, you're off time, and all of a sudden...
Well, I mean, Worf. I mean, he always does do that once, remember?
Oh, yes.
And this moment I thought was remarkably sweet, actually, in the way it's performed. Actually. And I can imagine that, Data's changed. Picard's not changed yet, which I didn't catch Data hadn't changed yet. So Picard obviously wanted to do more duties as the official officer, but he's taking such pride in it. It's nice, I
think he's probably on his way to his quarters because it's the end of his shift, because now Data's going on night shift. So he just got changed because he was heading up to the bridge.
He had one too many synth holes in the mess hall at the reception. That was a few hours later, yeah. I just think it's nice, he's still in the best... that's a deliberate choice, to keep him in the best uniform. And he's at this nice other moment. One duty is to be marrying, and one duty is to be welcome aboard. The first one, say welcome aboard, is a lovely, tiny moment that is unnecessary. And I kind of wish we'd had the... you might not agree, I'm sure you wouldn't, but I would rather had another Keiko of why she's marrying him and not marrying him. But this is beautiful, but this is a not needed scene when that is a needed scene. So it's weird to see rushed to something. Let's just talk about a baby for 2 minutes. Weird. Yeah.
Pixels at dawn, 2 pounds. Picard doesn't look as good in a full dress as what? Deanna?
Well, those uniforms don't look as good. I mean, they're not meant to. They're meant to be formal. They don't look as crisp.
I think they look kind of nice actually, but yeah, that's just me.
It is.
I like the upper part with the way it goes over with the gold trim. I think that looks really snazzy.
Khan / Admiral.
And then we get the handover to the night shift. They're on course for Adelphus 4. Engineering is realigning the main deflector dish, and sickbay reports Lieutenant Ambato broke 2 ribs during a holodeck exercise. Sensors continue to gather long-range information on the Murasaki quasar, and that's it. I'm handing the bridge over to you. I love that. I love that beginning and end of shift. What the hell's going on thing? Never, ever, ever do we see it again. But yet it happens every day.
Well, 3 times.
Twice. A few, yeah, exactly.
And
then he's like, begin night shift.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the lights dim.
Well, it's not just that, but the way Michael Dorn gives these lines, he looks prideful. He's not saying it mundanely. He's like, this, and this. I did a good job. Now on to you. He does it with pride. I like that. It's nice. He's the honourable warrior, and yet he's pride. Yeah, it's nice. It's good. I like it. Yeah, and the lights dim, and yeah, it starts where it begins, very aptly. And I kind of wonder if there's the same officers at the start than at the end, the same night crew. I don't know if we saw the
No.
people at the front. Let's see. There's the front crew. So we got a white guy and a black lady, and then we've got a Chinese lady or Asian and another white guy. Are they the same? I can't even tell. If it is, it's in a different uniform. But
Yeah.
Tindy changed uniforms, so no, different crew. Sure, why not?
Yeah. No, it's a fun episode, guys. Super chat your scores. I'll read them when we're done with our scores. And if you just want to put your regular scores in the chat, please do so. Also, if we can get a few more super chats, would be great. I'll let Samuel pick the number.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers, and we could do another 35. It's quite a bit, but this is a good episode, so it deserves it as a good end. So 35 would really help us out on this one.
You're lucky that I let him do that, because I was going to say 140.
Would also be really helpful, to be fair. I mean, hey, try Stuart's. We'll see how close we can get, but 35 would be really, really useful, actually.
So if you can super chat your scores, please do so. As I said when I started this is one of my favorite episodes, just because it's a day in the life of, and I love that kind of stuff. I mean, you said, yeah, it's not really one you'd expect me to like, because I'm a ship guy and a, strange new worlds and aliens kind of guy, or battles. That being said, we do get some two to Deradexes facing off against the Enterprise. But I do enjoy this kind of thing. Plus, the reference back to Maddox, and now having Picard and knowing what happens to Maddox, it's so sad.
He's murdered by his girlfriend. Yep.
Yeah, I know, but
well done, Picard.
So I mean, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, one of my favorite TNG episodes, actually. Like I said, it would probably be up there in the top 20. And it's not an exciting, Klingon, conspiracy plot one.
The thing is, it is exciting for character stuff. It's exciting. We learn these characters more in this episode than we ever would in that episode. Yeah, so it is a different sort of exciting.
Yeah, not a lot of Picard. I do like the twists with the Vulcan ambassador and being a Romulan. I think that's cool. But I never linked that with this episode ever. It's always like, yeah, that happened, but I don't remember when.
It's actually very forgettable, weirdly, because it's not a focus. It is, but it isn't. It's one
but
of
it's such
5
a great
plots.
It's a great thing. I mean, it actually comes up again in Drumhead, because they say they bring this instant up. There wasn't there a Vulcan ambassador that you handed back to the Romulans? That was actually a Romulan spy.
Yes.
When they're doing their Drumhead trial, right? So it's cool that it links in that way, but. And
guys, remember, do super chat. We've got 10, another 25. Just to remind, $25 would be a great end on super chat wise, because we're this week or today, if you can. But sorry, yes, keep going through it.
More Chief O'Brien lore, which eventually becomes important because he's a big part of Deep Space Nine. We get to know more about Keiko and stuff. And at this point, you wouldn't think we would. It's like, oh, that's a one-off character that, is in the background, got married. He's not going to be a big deal. But then he shows up in Deep Space Nine and becomes one of the major players. So, I mean, that's kind of cool as well. I would like to see the introduction of him and Keiko based on Data's, introduction. That'd be kind of neat to see how that played out. But anyway, it'd be cool to have another story that it's a flashback to this day and exactly what happened in Keiko's day that made her change her mind. And there's actually something else going on the ship that we never hear about because we're focusing on the Romulan aspect.
You know, it should be the Romulan lady, the Vulcan Romulan. Have it all be to do with that subplot, like in a really convoluted way.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Like maybe she was a mentor of her when she was at the academy for some reason, and she comes on board and they need to have coffee, and she's like, "You're going to marry this one? I disagree with your choice." Like really weird. Like, really? That's what happened. We think it's a non-nut plot. No, that's the reason. And maybe she tells Keiko she's a Romulan, and I have to tell somebody, and then it gets all confusing. And Keiko's had this dark, deep secret for 20 years, or she's known she's Romulan the entire time. She's the only person she can be honest with. Like really deep stuff.
And she's afraid she's gonna get caught, so she's like, "I gotta marry O'Brien and take the heat off me. Give them something else to think about." Yeah, what was I gonna say? There was something else there. Mm,
Hmm.
mm, I can't remember. Oh. Anyway, yeah, great Romulan baddie.
Yes.
He's kind of flat delivery, but very like to the point.
Well, it's Romulan.
Very
It's a
intimidating without being
yes.
yelling and screaming. And just
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
His
that's cool.
his inferences are, don't mess with me. Simple as that. You know, if you punch first, I'll fucking kill you. It's up to you, which is great.
My buddy, yeah, my buddies are coming in.
Yeah. Oh, those
So
three
yeah,
Deredexes. There's 5 all behind that. 5 all behind that. 5 all behind that. Picard, you might be able to take out 3 of us. 8 of us. There's 26 fucking Romulan ships on its way. Boo! And suddenly 12 birds of prey decloak, and it just escalates, and Gowron's there, and you know.
anyway.
This,
Yeah.
I was going to make a joke. This does need a 2-parter. What you do is the second episode is Data's night. First episode is Data's day. Second episode is Data's night. That would be the sequel, as a 2-parter.
Dun, dun, dun.
Genius.
Indeed.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm getting my scoring now.
I know.
I can't remember the point I was going to talk about, but that's okay. It might come up when you're talking. Okay, for season 4, I'm going to give this easily a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. For all of TNG, it's still going to be very high on my list because, like I said, it's one of my favorites. So it's definitely one I like to rewatch. So it's an 8.5 out of 10 for all of TNG, I think. It's up there. It's not quite perfect, and not something I would think of immediately if somebody was trying to recommend good Star Trek episodes.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's definitely high on my list. So there you go.
It's B plot the episode, so it's not nothing necessarily grabs you. But when you're in it, you're like, well, yeah. So how many more doors? We need a few more doors, guys, don't we? So yeah, for me, it was really nice to rewatch them properly, really see the depth behind it. Like I knew the scenes, but didn't know the depth behind them. It was literally up until the Keiko bit at the end. I was like, this episode's done nothing wrong so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might not be the best episode, but purely in not doing anything wrong with this complicated episode with this many pieces is very impressive. And I think it's a Lower Decks episode, first of all, which is unusual. It's the first Lower Decks episode if you kind of break it down, I think. But what it's trying to do, it achieves incredibly well. Does it make it the best TNG episode? No, because we all find different things interesting. But if this is what you like, this is an almost flawless episode. Except the Keiko end. But it's the least do you care scene, you know what I mean? It's the least caring scene of the entire movie episode anyway. So it doesn't dampen, it's just like, well, that's dumb. Whatever, but the moments are so good. This season has not been the best season so far, and this one definitely is a best of the season. Because again, it doesn't do anything wrong. And again, as a sense of all the characters get served here, I like that Picard and Riker don't. It's refreshing in its own way. Because you get a lot of everyone else. But they get their own little beats, which are important. But it's definitely a very strong Wolf TNG, because you get a window into their lives, which you do not get more than, 3 or 4 other times, maybe?
A few, anyway.
And like I say, up until Keiko, almost flawless. So score-wise, it's very, very high. This season, it's right up there. And obviously I've got the scores a little bit, I can be a bit more whatever. I'm going to give this one a 9.2 for this season. Almost, because it's better than the 9s, I think. But it's not as good as the current number 1. Hence my logic there. Okay. All TNG, as well a 9 for TNG. Just because what it tries to do, it's incredible. And so it's like, it's the range, you don't watch Measure of a Man to have fun. You watch it do a perfect of what it's trying to do. This one also does almost perfect of what it's trying to do. So it's a 9 or 9 point something depending. And this is when if we ever got to like a chart of, best of all of TNG and we could score them, that'd be a great time to see, well, where does this line up with? Because it is very well achieved. And this is almost like a Star Trek 4. Like it's that sort of unusual vibe. or just an episode of Lower Decks. Like I genuinely felt I was watching a double bill of Lower Decks, and it was nice.
Yeah.
I liked that, which is weird, but I liked it. So yeah, and I'm sure I surprised you with my scores because they are higher than yours.
I did, absolutely. That's what happens when you go last. You can tweet them.
I also have them in front of me, but yeah. So I like telling
Cheater.
you your scores.
Cheater.
Yes, but you inflate yours. I can't inflate mine. I've got to be real. Guys, put your scores in super chat. Stu will read. Non-super chat, I will read, and I would love to hear your non-super chats as well. We'll get a sense. Stuart, let's see what we. I think we're about $8 off. $8. So if two fives and we're there. That's all. 2 5s. Stuart, what have we got?
Tenchi 2K7, $5. I give this one a 9 out of 10. Bum bum bum. Ozzy, $5. This episode gets a 9.5 out of 10. Trekyards, a 10 out of 10. Okie dokie. Skeleton Hands.
Awesome.
Erevic Sonder, $2. 7 out of 10. I also enjoyed the average day episodes. There's got to be one that's just an average day. The whole episode. Nothing exciting happens at all. Just every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jersey at $5, 7.5 out of 10. Oh. Good, but not the most memorable to me. Still, I like how all the little stories linked up and Data tying everything together was a good choice.
See, I'll talk about that for a second. It's not memorable because it's a jumble of scenes. So I'll walk away being like, oh yeah, this and this happened, but it'll be a mush because it's so like interweaved. But just like with season 1 and season 2, we would end up the season like you were like, oh, I gave it that high. Because at the time is your genuine score. What you'd give it 8 months later is not the same, but you haven't watched it.
Exactly, yeah.
I watched someone say TNG season 1 is really rough, and I'm like, well, you probably haven't seen it in a few years. You know? As soon as you know. So I get memorable, yes, but I know it's a high quality. It's just you can be like Lower Decks. I don't remember what happens in the episode Lower Decks, but I know it's brilliant.
Oh, it's such a great episode.
But I don't remember. I sort of have bits, but the entire middle I don't remember. But that's not a problem. You know, I know it's great when I watch it. But yes, I understand.
Dan23, £1 with no comment, but thank you very much, Dan.
All helps.
Mike Bravo, $5. I feel the Vulcan ambassador spy set into motion the Starfleet security conspiracy and tag on Maddox we see in Picard.
Okie dokie.
Skeleton Hands.
I was going to say that.
Tangerine Star 26, £2, 9 out of 10. A very good upstairs downstairs drama. And Ginkgo Yoki, $5, 8.5 out of 10 for season 4, 8 out of 10 for all of TNG. Strong plot, an interesting twist. Can't get enough MSDs, especially in Data's quarters. Absolutely, love the displays.
And this is one of those few twists where it's not it's good because it's genuinely a shock. If they'd telegraphed it at all, it would have been less fun. You know what I mean? Like most twists, you actually have to set up. There was no setup, but it works in this specific case, which is hard to make that work. And guys, $8 more. That's not 8. There you go, $8 more.
And McCabe, if you're missing Star Trek, I invite traditional Star Trek fans to enjoy a completely free novel. Just Google Star Trek Lost Destiny and enjoy.
Good name.
Cool.
All right, so $8, and I'll read the non-super chat scores. Let's see where we are at. 9.5, 7.5, 9, 9, 7.2, 10 out of 10 says Matt Boardman. It's one of the 10s for him. Donnie says 9.75 though, so right up there. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8, 9, 9.7, 8.9. Couldn't quite get that 9, Brian. Just shy of a 9. 8, 6.7, 9, 7.5. Scroll. 8.5, 10. Another 10 by Fahad. 9.95 for Jill. Reserves 10 for only 3 or 4 episodes. So now we know.
She's going to give a 10 to the next episode, which is The Wounded, because I know it's her favorite episode.
The Wounded, yeah. Yes, I like this one. It's very dark. And Ducat's hair annoys me. Like, it doesn't help when you make
And his
a villain.
football helmet.
Yeah. It's like you damage a villain by doing silly things to him. But you can look past that.
They very quickly fixed the Cardassians, though. You got to
Very
admit.
quickly. Yes. It was a cage and a, cage and Bioware Nomad pretty much had it.
AC Castillo, what is the rewatchability of this episode? On my list, it's right at the top. It's one I will not pass up if it's on.
It's because you forget it so much that you get to rewatch it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Donaldson, Cardassian mutton chops should never have gone out of style. Oh. Dimas Alves, $5.
Oh,
here's
so
the
close.
last $8. Ozzy, $5. The Riker ransom maneuver, okie dokie, skeleton hands.
And there's the last $8.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Joining us and just being so generous and awesome.
Mm-hmm. We do rely on it, but we like to think that we entertain you all. And obviously, we produce a lot of videos each week that we don't offer anything on. It's like some people who've said, oh, all they do is live streams to make money. It's like, have you seen the amount of videos we put out that are just there to enjoy? A lot of other stuff as well. And also, interviews and such with legendary people like Mike McMahon. Speaking of, go back and watch our interview with Mike McMahon. There's a lot of good stuff in that. And
make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell icon. Click the all, because there's more coming from specific stuff, because you are on Trekyards after all.
And he's so into the ships. It was really nice. I'm not saying surprising. It was like half surprising. But if you ask Kurtzman, he'd be like, well, no ships should have more than 5 decks. It should be flat. Bridge windows. The best thing since sliced bread.
We have ships in our there's no water in space. What are you talking about? That's what Kurtzman would say, because he's an idiot.
And all ships should be big. Like, every ship should be 300% the size of ships in our current timeline, because, the normal timeline. What? And do check out today's video. Is promotion sometimes a bad thing in lower decks? Good discussion. Was fun to have, and I think we brought up some unique perspectives. Already 64 comments, which are great. 105 likes. Fun debate for sure.
And Dimas Alves, $3 with no comment, but thank you very much, Dimas. Much appreciated.
And in fact, we're only $3 away from a round number. So if anyone wants to put in $3, we'll be around. Just for completion's sake, I just thought I'd mention it. And Spino, I have not yet. I know there's like 9 people in the panel, so it gets those always get kind of cluttered. But I'm sure I'll watch it at some point. And
Jill asks, when are we doing the Wounded? That'll be next week, probably on Monday or Tuesday. We might not. I don't think we're going to have a live tomorrow, just because we have some filming to do in the afternoon.
First I'm hearing about that, but okay.
Well, we talked about that this morning. Well, that's why we're doing the TNG review today.
Fair enough.
Because the other one starts at 3 or 3:30, and then if we film for like a half an hour to an hour, then we don't have any time to really do anything for our live.
Depends if you guys turn up at 11 till 12. Who knows?
Maybe we'll do a live tomorrow, but it won't be a review because I don't know if we'll have time.
No, it won't be a review. No.
Exactly. So
it'll be a low decks themed thing. It'll be something.
If we can think of anything. Chances are it's 50-50 whether we'll have a live tomorrow. Let's put it that way.
Just like it's 50-50 if Spot will actually go onto the desk or not. Or less than that, as in reality it was. These were hard scenes, guys. Hard scenes.
And Tangerine Charge 26, there's more of that interview, so stay tuned. I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it. We've had a lot of positive reactions to that, so it's been awesome.
Yeah, we definitely... we're excited about that. And you can see our faces at some of the answers. It's quite... It's good. It's good. Very, very honest.
I could tell that was near the end of the interview, though, because I was looking at my face, and it's like we should have wrapped up like 10 minutes ago, but okay, keep going. It was fun watching that.
Yeah, that was basically the start and the end of the interview, because the middle we asked quick fire questions, which made sense for this sort of big interview, because otherwise it just burns through questions. But they're so distinct in question form that it's good to see a good, like, oh, this is what was going to be answered in this interview, rather than just, here's an interview for 12 minutes. Like, okay.
And Jill says, if we do the Wounded without notice, she will destroy us. Okay, so Jill, next Monday or Tuesday will be the Wounded, so keep your eyes open. Probably Tuesday, because I think there's going to be a lot to talk about in this episode of Lower Decks coming up. So Monday will be definitely a Lower Decks live,
Well,
and then
actually,
Tuesday
yeah,
can be the
because it's true.
Wounded.
If we this new ship, they might even cheeky and show the inside, because that would be ballsy of them if they actually full on show a bridge, and like they could get a lot of cred points, fan cred points, especially as there's like Cerritos is not a good in terms of like advanced ship. They're seeing like a more sexy version would be kind of cool.
And Dave L says, how many more episodes will you have Mike McMahon in?
2 max.
There you go.
Just so there's a good bit of content. I mean, there's 4 or 5 questions, but I think they're worth doing as 2 and 2.
Yeah.
But they're good answers. I mean, he has good answers, so they're good bits of content.
Jonathan Aldridge puts in £10.
Oh!
Awesome. I have been struggling to get modern Star Trek. I think a lot of people have, but I think Lower Decks is kind of fitting the bill for a lot of people. So.
I mean, you know, it's been not a great decade, but you know, things might be in the up and up. Although Martin says you're too lovey-dovey with Vince McMahon, considering you think Lower Decks is only okay. Martin, no, we think Lower Decks is very say it's only okay? We found Picard to be only okay to shitty, so yes.
No, we've been enjoying Lower Decks.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to talk to that showrunner, because that showrunner, I mean, live action have to think a lot harder, because everything's, you know, that and that part of the canon, but that guy, it's like, nothing against him personally, obviously, but at one time someone in the comments said, how can you talk about saying it might not be a good show? He's a Pulitzer winner or whatever,
Shaban?
Yeah, Shaban, like he's a high up literary writer. And I was like,
yeah.
That is true. Because you once write something award winning, this does not mean everything you write is award winning. Otherwise, you'd have multi award winning every time. Authors, screenwriters can write a broad spectrum. So yes, he was an award winner for a different medium in a different genre once. Yeah. That does not mean...
It doesn't mean he knows Star Trek.
Yes. I understand that, but Nicholas Meyer had not won anything, had not seen Star Trek, made the best 2 Star Trek movies pretty much. So, I get, you know, talent is one thing, but talent in the wrong place is needed. You know, so it, you know, he was not necessarily the right guy for it. He was an okay guy for it. There were better people. I wouldn't have given McMahon Picard. I like him where he is. You know, I would give him the Enterprise E. Like give him a episode in season 2 with Picard in the E. But I wouldn't. You know, it's too serious for him. I'd rather, you know, do someone else overall. Yeah.
Fun will now commence. $1 with no comment, but a cool smiley face. Thank you. And Jonathan Aldridge, £5. You will forgive me if I give Lower Decks a miss, as I would rather see a Trek show that does not have another Michael Burnham in it. If that's your point you're getting hung up on, you're missing out on some great content. I don't know. It's up to you, man. Miss out on some good stuff. It's fine with us.
It's the best Trek since the end of Enterprise, first of all. So every episode is fun. Every episode is watchable. Every episode is rewatchable. And yes, she is Michael Burnham version 2.0, but severely improved. And there's redeeming qualities in every episode. So, and already by, you know, she changes in each episode of how good she is, but much better. And in fact, as soon as you watch it, you're like, oh man, why couldn't Burnham be like this with more balance? So no, if that is the opposite reason. You should be thinking, no, going to be a lot better. But seriously, the show is the best show we've had in Trek. And for my dad personally, the best show since Voyager. Completely beats Enterprise. And that tells you something. He's been, you know, he watched it on first run in the UK, you know. So, you know, if you value an original OT Trekkie, then he says best since Voyager. So, you know.
I get sick of that argument, though. We hear it all the time in comments. I was watching this on the first run, so I know better than all of you. No, you don't. But thank you for the input.
Yeah, I counter.
So I hate that argument. I really hate that argument.
Yeah, I counter that with Dad as well sometimes. It's just like, yes, you were, but...
I would have been too if I was born back then, but I wasn't. Unfortunately, I was born a little bit later, so you can't hold that over me.
The only difference is that they've put more money into the franchise than most people, and especially the only value I'd give is like the people who were in the letter writing campaign, like Doug and those guys, because those actually saved Star Trek. Those guys literally are the ones that had enough power in their campaign to give Star Trek a third season, and then the fan interest to give it a movie. Those guys have a bit more weight, and they lived through it. But yeah, it doesn't give you necessarily extra knowledge. It just gives you perspective more than knowledge, you know. But if you're 50 and have the money to support it,
a lot of times when I hear that comment, though, I hear, "I am an old curmudgeon who doesn't want to change my views, so anything new is shit."
Yeah.
And so anyway.
But then again, my dad loves Lower Decks, so that's the newest thing. He's not the biggest fan of comedy or biggest fan of animated. So an animated comedy that's new, he likes the best since Voyager, which in itself was a sort of a sci-fi reboot of TNG, which was in itself a more advanced reboot of TOS. So,
Matthew K, $10.
Thank you.
Super late, going to go back, but wanted to say hi. Well, hello, Matthew. Hopefully you enjoyed the last 2 hours, and you've finally caught up to yourself in the future. And
yes,
we love you very much. So thank you for joining and watching.
And just so you know, the future is fine. Or the past is fine. It doesn't make any sense. Yes. Hello. We're still talking about you. Hope you're having a nice day. Have a cereal. Have an ice cream.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Jill says, my super chat disappeared. I think Lower Decks is the best Trek since DS9. So there you go.
Well, that's the thing. They're all different. But yes, possibly.
Jonathan Aldridge, £5.
Awesome.
I live by good things come to those who wait. I saw Trek in the 90s and Voyager and Enterprise and felt that modern Trek has a long way to go.
Yep.
I remember watching Enterprise going, this could have been so much better. But then you compare Enterprise to Voyager and Discovery, and you're like, God damn, Enterprise did a fantastic job. Good job.
To Voyager? You mean Discovery?
To Discovery. Yeah, did I say Voyager?
You said I was on what? Yeah. No. Well, I always say Enterprise is the vanilla Trek. It does everything worse than Voyager, and yet it was made after Voyager with the same team. Why? How is that possible? Until season 4, anyway. But yeah, hey, good things come to those who wait. You waited through JJ Trek, you waited through Kurtzman Trek, and now you're getting McMahon Trek. Definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All right, Stuart, we upped our numbers. That was awesome. That does help us. Thanks,
yes, you guys are fantastic. Thanks for coming through.
I think it's fair to Jonathan in our super chat, since he threw in quite a lot there at the end, which does make a big difference. So thank you, Jonathan. Hopefully you guys had fun. We will or will not see you tomorrow. So have a good or good not day. That's not how that works. And hopefully you guys are looking forward to the next Lower Decks, because it's getting soon.
We got to go because I got a phone call coming in. So.
Alrighty. Have a great rest of the evening, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.